Hello, Globebusters. Yes, of course they're serious. You do? You have? No kidding. Uh-huh. Oh, they'll cure your globitis this week. Thank you. We got one!
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's the Globebusters.
What are you supposed to be, some kind of a cosmonaut?
No, we're exterminators.
And now, here's your host.
And welcome everybody to Globebusters, Light, Reflections, and Polarity. I am your host, Bob, Xanadude60, and we are back with, what is going to be the very last Sunday show that we will be having on YouTube because we're going to be moving to a new platform. We'll be discussing that here very shortly. But so this kind of marks the end of an era. We're not completely getting away from YouTube just yet, but we have finally found a better platform, better way to go. I think it's going to work out very well for all of us. But yeah, have lots of things to talk about. Today, I am going to be updating people on what we've been talking about with this so-called second sun, which actually is not a second sun, it's a primary sun. But we've caught a lot of flack about it, obviously, and I wouldn't say rightfully so, but I understand people being very skeptical about it, because after all, I mean, this is a pretty wild and crazy claim that we're making here, and also Crow 777 as well. So we have really kind of dug in, done our homework, found out a lot of things, and so we're going to present to you today some really neat things that are going to show you and actually allow you to go out and kind of look at things like this for yourself to see what's going on and see why this is such an anomalous thing, and why I am about 95% sure that this is actual physical object. But I'm still willing to accept the idea that we could be totally wrong, totally full of BS, and this is speculation. And let me remind this to you one more time, guys, because we have had criticisms, saying that, oh, well, people, just by the way they're commenting on your page, you can tell they're buying into it. And it's like, well, maybe people are just, accepting it and, think that maybe there is something to it, like I do. I don't know. It's so funny the way people react in the community. They act like, because we're presenting something that, we're automatically putting disinformation out there and trying to, mislead the entire community, off of a cliff or something like that. When every single time we have made, absolutely sure, Jeran and I both do this, that, this is our opinion. This is what we see. This is what we think, and we are by no means claiming any of this as factual. We put it out to the community to share it, and honestly, I don't really appreciate being called a shill, for presenting it, because I'm not presenting anything as absolute, positive without a doubt. This is for real stuff. I happen to think that, yeah, I think there's a good shot that it's real. Yeah, I do think that, but that's my opinion, and I'm certainly welcome to it. And you guys are all welcome to your opinion too. So let's just get that straight at the onset. We put this information out there, for your evaluation. Okay, and I'm more than happy to tell you what I think. Jeran will tell you what he thinks. Anybody on the panel will tell you what they think. And, if somebody says, oh, I think it's a crock of crap, and whatever, that's fine. Everybody has their opinion. But, please stop the shill calling. And, every time, we present something new, if it's not right in line with the accepted mainstream, flat earth narrative. I mean, honestly, it's getting as bad as the Globers. It really is. It's really kind of disconcerting to me, but whatever. We're still going to proceed, to do it. We've done this for 6 years, and I'm not going to hold back. If I see something like this, I'm going to let loose with it. I'm going to put it out there for you to decide. And like I said, if you think it's crap, then great. Welcome to your opinion. That's just fine. So anyway, we have that, and we have several other things to talk about today. We have a very interesting phenomena that's kind of going on. We appear to have a NASA whistleblower that has made contact with our groups, or I should say somebody in our group. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that. Now, this dialogue is really interesting, guys, because if this is a fake, it's a pretty good one, because the guy has some really interesting takes on stuff. And it happens to fall, very much in line with some of the things that Jeran and I have speculated, over the years about this. Of course, maybe he just is a big Globebusters fan. Who knows? I don't know. But we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about, of course, the new platform that we are going on to, which is called Rockfin, and many other things besides that. So let's go ahead and introduce the panel. First up, as always, we have Jeran from Jeranism. How you doing today, Jeran?
What's going on, Bob? How are you?
Doing good, doing good.
Good, yeah. No, exciting news for today. Happy to be here. Happy everybody's here. And excited to hear what you guys have found with this phenomenon, whatever's going on. And yeah, so excited to be here. And I agree about, obviously everything you said, that open-mindedness is what got us here, right? And so, to turn that off at some point and just say, okay, now I'm not going to be open to different things. I can't grasp it. If there's anything I've learned in the 5 or 6 years, it's that every time I've taken a strong stance, that I, look around the corner and then, oh, wow, and now I changed it. Now something else comes up, and then you're always able to change your opinion based off the presented evidence. And so, I still see a lot of people that stand against many things simply because it's new, or they haven't heard it before, or it just doesn't match with their current. And we should all recognize that is the immediate response to anything that goes against something. So just understand it, kind of listen, and we try. I know I do the same thing. You try and say at the beginning, we're just spitballing here, and yet people go make 8-hour videos about us spitballing.
Yeah. And then when you rebut and go back to them, then all of a sudden now we're bullying them, and we're picking on them and bullying them, and it's like, oh my God, I mean, some people are just such big babies. It's unbelievable, but whatever.
Yeah, I just like I said a million times, I like to hear people's honest opinions about different subjects, and if it's even more enticing to me if it's completely against anything that I know, because I think they're hiding so many things. So when I listen to Crow, or when I listen to Chris when he's doing these observations, I'm very interested. And if you find something that is completely against what we know, yeah, we could all jump on him and say, you don't know how to do what you're doing. You don't know anything about that scope, and become real angry like that. Or we can sit back and observe, and it doesn't make or break us. So what are we so upset about? It's not going to, Chris was wrong. Oh, everything's going down the hill. Now Flat Earth is going to be discredited. It's like, come on, give me a break.
Yeah, no doubt. Welcome to the big leagues, Chris. He's in the chat. But, Chris only validated, essentially what Crow 777 found. And then, he found it in Colorado. He found it in Texas. He found it in our front yard. Went over to Karen B's and found it there. And honestly, I suspect very heavily that Wolfie 6020 also found it. And, it's amazing, knowing, who Wolfie is and what he actually does. You can learn a lot by watching his videos, simply by watching what he purposely ignores and what he skips over. What did he skip over? Well, we addressed the issue of polarity several times. He never brought that up one single time. Instead, what he said was, "Oh, I've had this solar telescope for years." Okay, great. So I made a mistake. You've had the solar telescope for years. Big whoop. All right. That's not the point. The point is, you did not replicate he did not replicate what Chris did. He had both suns in the viewfinder and then shifted it away. But what people don't realize is after Chris did that, we literally physically moved. We had to pan the scope down and go to the other sun. But anyway, I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let's just stop right here for now, and we'll get back to this in a bit. But yeah, there's just a lot of stuff on this, but we will get to it here in good time. So next up, we have with us Wits It Gets It. How you doing today, Austin?
Hey, doing good. We are in Hillsborough River State Park. Certainly can't complain. And it's a pretty day. How are y'all?
Did you hide the weed? That's the question.
I quit, bro.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Maybe it was maybe there was a plan all along.
There you go.
Yeah, could be. I mean, things do happen for a reason. So I certainly believe in that. When things happen to me like that, I try and think, what was it that, the universe is trying to tell me? I always try and look at it that way. And sometimes I can't figure it out for crap, but other times it's like, oh man, that should have been a no-brainer, obvious, So that's just kind of the weird way the universe works. So, and then Austin, you have some information we're going to get back to here in a bit about where you're going to be there in Florida. So we'll get back to that here shortly. But next up, we have the doctor who is in, Rodrigo Ferrara Nunez. How you doing today, Rodrigo?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much, Bob, for having me. And it's always great to be here for me and see. I'm here for the evidence, more than obviously the drama. I like to look at the social scene and what's going on. As part of my study in the beginning, how people transform. But I'm here for the evidence, and I think these are distractions that shouldn't stop you. And I'm glad that you guys are just powering through. And that's, people are going to get angry, but, what at the end of the day, what we need is questions. And then, people going after the information and making the necessary adjustments and explanations, right? So we're about to hear some good stuff. That's the way it should be. People should be open to it. That's the joy of doing this kind of stuff. It's so weird that people get carried away about opinions and not excited about questions. But, yeah,
exactly. And I couldn't agree more, and, the sad thing about it is, some of the people that have really gone off on us the worst, have been friends of this channel for years. And it's like, all of a sudden you'd think we shot their dog. It's like, my God, I mean, this is just bullshit and they're leading everybody astray with this false information. It's like, give us a break,
take it easy.
I know, take it easy, but whatever. I get, people are going to do what they do, and everybody's got their little trigger point. And yeah, it's just sad, but hey, whatever. We will move on and not worry about it. Yep. So yeah, we've got some great stuff. I'm sure you probably saw it in the Globebusters chat, the video that Zach made, and I'm going to be offering an explanation that goes along with that, and something that people can really wrap their head around and see why I believe it, why Chris believes it, and why Crow believes it, and several other people can see this very clearly, and it's just it's compelling. It really is. I will say that. So, all right. So let's move on. Next up, we have back with us today, Mr. John the Morgile. How you doing today, John?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Me, I'm all about the drama, but no, not really. And the thing is, man, we're never all going to agree on everything, but I mean, there's so much that we do agree on. And I think as long as you're putting forward the caveat statements that we're hypothesizing here, I mean, that's the only way you're ever going to make progress is by humoring hypothesis. I mean, that is what the scientific method is at its core, is maybe going out on limbs. But, we're never going to carve anything in stone, especially when it's tentative or just in the hypothetical. But yeah, I can't stand it either, because if we feel like we are inhibited in what we can say and what we can sort of go out on a limb and think about publicly, then that hampers progress, and I think that's a bane to flat Earth. So there you have it.
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Absolutely true. So All right, and let's see. We also have with us today Zach, or Zachary Zabala, or Good Times for All, if you prefer. I know I did that backwards from the way Zach does it, but how you doing today, Zach?
Hey, Bob, doing real good, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, you're more than welcome, and we're very pleased that you joined us today. Zach was kind enough to, Cami. I have to tell you a little backstory here. I mean, Cami well, she's brilliant. She really is. I mean, this is one of the reasons I married her. She's got an incredible brain on her, absolutely amazing. But one thing, the difference between Cami and I is that she thinks in pictures, right? She thinks visually. She gets images that flash through her head, and I have more of a logical sequence of thoughts. So we have kind of discovered that that kind of presents a problem when we're trying to get concepts across to each other, because I can explain it to her in simple terms and she'll just look at me like, huh? And then she'll do the same thing, and but over the years, over the last 21 years that we've been together, we have finally, we've kind of come to a methodology or a technique, I guess, that we figured out how to really listen to each other and really understand what we're trying to say. And Cami honestly has been talking about this whole polarity thing for literally years, and the way that things are working and how the sun is there and all this stuff. And it's really amazing. But one thing that we've had for the last little over a year now is Zach has been staying with us, and in addition to providing all kinds of amazing things that he does around the house, he also has been able to become kind of a bridge between Cami and I. And because he is able to make videos, he's able to take Cami's visualizations and my logical thought process on it and combine them very nicely into videos, right? So that's a blessing. It's just a wonderful thing. We're really happy that Zach is here to do that. And thank you so much for being able to do that, Zach. You're awesome.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Just doing what I can,
Yep.
doing my part.
That you are. But yeah, we've definitely learned a lot from each other in the house. So yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, so I think that's everybody that is introduced. So Austin, if you would like, let's go ahead and have you talk a little bit about what's going on in Florida. And I'm going to bring up the little, where is it? Oh, this thing. There we go. The meetup here. So you want to talk about that a little bit before we start?
Yeah, sure. 420, the infamous date that I no longer partake in. Wakua Springs State Park. We're going to have a meetup. We thought it'd be cool to do it at State Park around 6 p.m. Eastern. So, just pop up and we'll chill, we'll grill out, we'll cook, and we'll have a good time. It's just, Flat Earth meetup, Wakua Springs State Park.
I grew up there. I used to go there like 5 times a week, man, and go canoeing out on the it's like a spring-fed river. It goes all the way to the St. John's, and I literally grew up on the swamp there. Not literally.
Oh, that's awesome. Is it pretty cool?
Yeah. Oh, it's sweet, man. Yeah, it's really nice. Yep. Love it.
Sweet. Yeah, we figured out definitely the way to go is state parks, I mean, they're like much cheaper as long as you can squeeze in a reservation, and it's always beautiful and secluded, and it's like a public place. So basically we own it. So yeah, it's just the way to go. And we figured maybe some flyers would come kick it.
Yeah, I would imagine. I've been amazed, looking at the footage that you guys have been shooting in Florida, and that place really is beautiful. And I've been there a few times before. It's been a long time, though. I mean, the last time I was there, honestly, I was actually still in the military. I was still in the Air Force. So that kind of dates it back about, 40 years. And it was beautiful then, but it still looks like it's very, very pretty there. So yeah, I don't blame you for hanging around down there at all.
Yeah, and just to explain, yeah, we obviously we all know the situation that put about 3 weeks on there, but there's supposedly a SpaceX NASA crew launch on the 22nd, so we're kind of like easing our way west, and then we're gonna go document and flat smack that event on the 22nd, which is at like 6 in the morning. But once we get that done, then we're popping back up north.
Oh, awesome. Beautiful. Well, that'll be cool. That'll be cool to have that covered. And do you guys have a P1000 or P900 with you?
We have a P900, yeah. Now, because the Flyers community is awesome, I had someone donate a P900, and then I guess the community infrared P900 from Anthony. So shout out to Chad and Anthony for the P900. So we have both an infrared and a regular P900, so we should be able to document it pretty well.
Oh, that is totally awesome. Very cool. Okay. So it would be cool, I don't know exactly what we would be looking for, but probably the infrared to kind of scan the area around the launch to see if we see any anomalous lights on there. And also, I don't know, Austin, if you have a polarizing filter on that thing or not. But I think after today and after you hear what we have to say about, the polarizing filters, you may want to throw one on there. Not only will it improve the picture, the pictures overall because it, gets rid of glare and stuff like that. But if you kind of spin that filter around, you may be able to catch some things that you may not normally be able to see otherwise, especially in that environment. I don't know that for sure. I'm just spitballing. Okay. So.
Okay, that's a good idea. Like one thing, we got a real quick tripod. I learned the hard way. Like you definitely want a really good tripod with me, weight it down because it just starts getting crazy wobbly once you get real zoomed in. And then we're going to buy another one so we can simultaneously document it with both of them. That's the idea. So probably going to try to get another tripod here soon. And then, yeah, I'll look into the polar lens. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, they're only like $15 or something like that. They're really cheap. So, and it's got that big lens, but it just screws on the front. I had one, and then of course all you have to do is just unscrew it a little bit and then just rotate it around, and that will shift the polarity. And you may be surprised what you shift into your field of view. So we'll see.
Cool. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, Burrs. All right. All right, very cool. So let's get rid of that. And guys, we are broadcasting also on Rockfin, which is our new platform. And yes, Jeran, I actually did get it started, so I think I did something right.
Yeah, it seems like it's working well from what I can tell over here. I was in the chat with people saying hi.
Yeah, very cool. So you want to talk about that? Should we talk about that a little bit right now?
Yeah, that'd be great. From my perspective was that recently I found out about this website that was doing something pretty special. I heard from another mobile podcaster when I was on with Alex Stein. He was saying that his whole podcast team had moved to Rockfin, and I'd never even heard of that name. I was like, what is that? He's like, oh, you never heard of that website? There was a former wrestling site that they are moving to more open-minded content with no restrictions. And I'm like, no, I've never heard of it. And he said, yeah, go check it out. So I kind of glanced at it during the show and was like, oh, it's a nice layout. And I went back and said, yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to look into it and see how you get on there. And he's like, oh, well, you have to be referred and you have to be interviewed, and they only handpick certain people. So I'm thinking in my head right when I hear that, I'm like, oh, well, there's probably no chance that they're going to pick us. So I said, okay, well, worth a shot. I guess I'll get interviewed. I said, so go ahead. If you could refer me, that'd be great. So he kind of set it up on that end, and I requested on my end. So the guy sets up an interview, and during the interview, he just really impressed me. Didn't have any kind of expectations going into it, but just some of the things he said were right in line with, well, number one, and Bob can attest to this, that I talked to Bob about this idea probably a year ago.
Yeah, you did.
This exact same layout, because I had this kind of vision of how you could make a free speech platform work and be profitable and take care of the people that are involved. So I wanted to hear him out. And then, first question I asked the guy is I said, oh, by the way, I said, I've never heard of your website. So I'm just letting you know I'm in streaming. I've been on YouTube 6 years. So I said, it is kind of weird. I haven't heard of this website. And I said, but number two, I don't even know what it means. What is Rockfin? Why'd you name it that? And he said, oh, well, did you know that the whales and the orcas and all these animals, dolphins that are kept in captivity at these various, parks around the country and Marine World and you name it, Six Flags, he says that they all have this bent fin, and that when they're released into the open, that this fin unbends, that only the animals in captivity have their fin bent, and the other ones that are free don't. So he says, so we named it that because that's how we see content creators right now. We see that they're very restrained, that they are kept in these enclosures. They're not allowed to get out, and they're kind of almost held ransom to the fact of, even though you helped build this great platform, if you ever have any problems, they're like, well, leave. We have plenty of, because you've helped them build what they are today, right? If you think of YouTube, think of all the people that have gone into making YouTube the platform it is today, and think of how many of those people have been unceremoniously removed from YouTube, and think of how many people have had their channels deleted and been demonetized, even though they've been huge parts of the whole. So he's talking about that from the start. So I was really interested then at that point of kind of hearing him out. And so he just said, we just have a different model. We think that creators here should be allowed to be creative. They shouldn't be restrained in what they speak and what they say. And that we want, to support those people. So he kind of lays out this whole idea or not an idea, it's been going. And I was actually able to talk to some other people that are on the platform, and everybody says they love it, and everybody says it's exactly as it's described. And some of it almost seems too good to be true. But from what I've talked to, people are like, no, it's the way it ends up working out. So I approached Bob and said, oh, by the way, he was interviewing me for my channel. But at that point, I told him, I don't know how this will work for me. I said, I've got patrons, and I said, some of them have paid for a year. I can't go to a paid platform. It's just not going to work for me. But I said, but I've got this other show. I'd be interested in knowing if you'd be interested in that. So he started looking into Globebusters and said, no, this is exactly what we're looking for. And he's like, you guys do a weekly show? And yep. Okay. Well, if you did that exclusive, so he's just going, kind of pitching the idea and allowing us to stay on YouTube, allowing us to still do whatever we want here. We own all the content. Nothing's different as far as that goes. But really, what we saw it as, Bob and I, when I talked to Bob, and we took a couple days going through it, really thinking about it before just jumping on board. But we just saw it as, if you're not wanted somewhere, which is kind of the feeling that we get at YouTube, right? Obviously, constantly demonetized, everything you can possibly imagine. Strikes. We get a strike every single week for Ray Parker Jr. for our intro song, which is just ridiculous. We have the license for it. It doesn't matter how many times you write that. It doesn't matter. You don't talk to a real person. Nobody cares. You're just some little nothing. They kind of look at it like, you're lucky you're still here. And they're right, because of some of us are like, well, yeah, but we don't have anywhere else to go where people can watch us. So they have this control over you. And it's kind of this, they almost hold it against you. And so this new platform seems like it's the complete opposite. Again, could it be all just some sort of lie? Well, yeah, but I talked to a few, and then I found out that Tinfoil Hat is there, right? And Lindsay from Rogue Ways. And so I started with Jimmy Dorn, so I started going with Whitney Webb. So I started looking, and it's really independent journalists that are on the site, Rockfin, and they're all a part of a network. You have to be invited. So you can't just be a creator who shows up there. You have to sit through this interview with this guy who kind of grills you on different things and what's your goals and aspirations and where do you see yourself? That it's just like an interview. And that really kind of piqued my interest. And so I went to Bob and said, Bob, here's the layout. And I know it's going to suck because we've provided this free content for 6 years. And so I get it. And to me, and I've said this recently, people have heard me already say it, but I think that one of the biggest psyops that there is this psyop that truth should be free, right? I get it. Trust me, I was there the first 3 to 4 years I was on YouTube. That was the idea I held. That was what I was going around saying. Truth should be free. Truth should be free. And then you start to see how they control the world. And then you see that it's these ideas that make no sense in the real world that we go around spitting. Because what is the most valuable thing that exists in the world? What is the most valuable thing in the world of lies? The most valuable thing is truth. The most valuable thing is open-mindedness. And they've taught you that it's the one thing that should be free. When they tell mountains of lies, spending billions of dollars on indoctrination, on education, on TV programming, on television news, on mainstream media, they will pump every single dollar they have into lying to you. And then they'll convince you that truth should be free. And yet truth can't stand in that fight. It really struggles. And there's a reason why, because you can put out a movie like Behind the Curve that gets spread all over and gets talked about all over. And it can be based on lies and it can be just garbage. And so you can try and fight that all you want with truth. I could go live every night on my channel and tell all the truth I want in the world. It's not going to compete against that. And so, this guy's talking about, oh, well, the people who make this network grow are going to be part of the kind of family, right? So the way it kind of works is everybody benefits from everybody, which is something you don't see. So the way he's talking about is, imagine if you were with YouTube in year one, and since then you've had a live show, you've gone live twice a week, and you've built YouTube to what it is today, that person should be pretty financially secure, right? But YouTube doesn't look at anybody that way. They don't care who you are, how long you've been there. They simply will get rid of you at any point. Why? Because you've helped them build this thing that now is this conglomerate, right? Second, number 2 or number 1 website in the world. I don't even know what it is. Some crazy amount of views. The money that they're making is hand over fist, and yet they just kind of, give little pittance to these creators. So we just saw it as an opportunity for the channel for growth. There's 20,000, I think, paid subscribers already there. So that's 20,000 people that we will get to speak to that maybe have never heard us. And then also the shows that we'll be doing free over there will be seen by many, many more. They didn't give me a count of how many non-paying members are. The other good news about it is, and hearing about this, it was even more enticing, is that it's $10 a month and you get everything. Okay, so it's not just you get Globebusters for $10 a month. It's you get everything on that website. The good news about that is once we've done this, and it seems to be working great today, and we start to move some people over, we're going to put in some requests for some invites to people we think should come over. So what eventually should happen or could happen is that we have a nice place to go where we no longer have to worry about strikes. We no longer have to worry about stupid copyright stuff or stuff that's not copyright, because we don't go out and do anything. We're not playing other people's music. We don't sit here and play DMX music. And, we're just showing video. We're doing things within the law about, content sharing, and YouTube doesn't care. They don't listen to us, right? So it's just exciting to be part of a team that's kind of small. I got to interview with the head of, acquisitions, and so you kind of have, now I've got like a direct, imagine if I had that with YouTube. Imagine if I had somebody that was in the front office I was able just to email and they email me right back. That's what I have here with this company. So you're able to kind of work right along with them. It's in its infancy. I believe they have less than 200 channels, but a lot of them are good. They're open-minded stuff, free speech content, and we're going to be able to bring some people over. So the hope would be eventually that you're paying $10 a month if you care to join us, and think of all the people you could be helping with that, because everybody gets a piece of the pie. So let's say we get Karen B, and we get Brian Stavely, and you name it, anybody we can name in the world. And if they all kind of came here and they're all existing under this this banner, and the schedule of how they plan on divvying out the benefits of the whole program seem, like I said, too good to be true. So that's what you have to wait and see. But I'm excited about it. Like I said, I think that I want to be somewhere that wants me, not that does not. And that's a big difference. A channel where, a website that interviewed you and says, yes, we saw your content. Yes, we want you. Yes, we like you. Feels a lot better than somebody who I have to tiptoe around every single time I do a stream. Right.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it, and I'm excited about it. So anyway, I know in the show notes, Bob put a link to, and let me just say this too, to all my patrons, because I understand the one problem I had with it, and I had to go back and forth in my mind, like, how is this going to work? Is I don't want anybody to be like, oh, well, now I have to go pay also $10 to see. I'm a patron of yours, and I also have to pay for Globebusters. Don't think that way, because they invited me on the platform as well. After all, even though I said, no, I can't go because of my patrons. They said, well, what if you come over and just play the same stuff that you play for patrons, but exclusively on Rockfin? So I just thought about it. I was like, oh, that's a brilliant idea. So all I'm basically doing is my Thursday, Friday show, which already only plays for patrons, now will also play on Rockfin. So somebody could, if they are paying $10 a month for me, they could right now say, okay, Jeran, I'm pulling that $10. I'm going to go put it into Globebusters on Rockfin. And by doing that, they would get all my same content, right? So you're not actually losing. Nobody's losing anything here. If you only want to donate $10 in total, then yeah, I would say stop supporting me. Go support Globebusters through Rockfin. Then you get everything that's on that channel, which will include my Thursday after show, my Friday after show, and anything else that we eventually add. And then letting us put free stuff there as well, kind of trying to build the network. And it's very much in its infancy. And I love that Sam Tripoli's there. I like some of his content. I like that that's a very open-minded show. And you don't get the same kind of response. They'll talk about anything, right? So that's fun to listen to them just go off the wall about certain topics that are nowhere near maybe some of what we would consider reality, but he can at least entertain it, and they can have a conversation about it and spit it around. And then if it doesn't come out right or it doesn't pan out, they just move on. That's how I think it should be. So anyway, with all these other creators that are there and potentially some that we could bring along, I think that this is a good thing, and I'm hoping great things for Rockfin and everything with Globebusters.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And that's the biggest thing. Obviously it affords us the possibility to at least make a little bit of money. Jeran is doing well, he's doing a little bit better than we are, obviously, at Globebusters. But I have run Globebusters for 6 years and really never asked for any money. And ever since I moved, it's a little bit different story now. Granted, we own our house, and we're not too bad off, but still got to pay the monthly bills and all that. And so I'm not looking to make a fortune, but this actually allows me to make a little bit of money and do what I love to do, which I love doing this. And I think that the content overall is going to, I guarantee you, it's going to get better on Globebusters. And in fact, just this last week, I ordered all new equipment for the studio, for a green screen. I mean, I love what you do with the green screen, Darren, what Dave Weiss does with the green screen, and a lot of people. And I want to be able to have that type of thing too, where I can bring up the video behind me, and talk in the foreground, and just all the nifty things that everybody's doing with this. So I made an investment in that to increase the overall quality of the stream. Of course, Globebusters will probably we're going to be going over to camera, and not everybody on the panel has to go to a camera, but I know I will be, and probably Jeran will be as well, because we've noticed that for whatever reason, even with our ugly mugs, people like to really watch you, when you're talking and what you're doing. So that adds a little bit to the draw of the show, I guess. So yeah, I mean, all kinds of things like that are really going to be good. And a lot of people have asked, well, what about Lighthouse? Well, I got to tell you, we talked with Sean on Lighthouse just last week, as a matter of fact, just a few days ago. And he told me that, well, it's been put off again. You got another delay to, June or July or something like that. And, it was supposed to originally be here in December, right? And then it was January, and then it was March, and then it was April. And it's just like, I understand that they're trying to create the best platform. I still think that, it's probably going to do great things. And one thing I really like about Lighthouse is the 3-in-1 thing, where you've got, you have a social media platform, as well as a streaming platform, as well as a, kind of like shopping type of platform and stuff like that. And, who knows, if this doesn't work out, we may go for something like that. But until then, it's been very obvious that, everything we put out is getting taken down. Our show just 2 weeks ago was taken down 30 minutes after it ended with ODD, right? Just got struck down just like that. And, they're just telling us, go away. We don't want your stuff here. And it's like, great. And, we just got our monetization back, which is great. But even with that,
what was the reason they gave for taking the show down?
It violated their community guidelines.
Which means whatever they want. Like, it doesn't have to clarify anything.
Well, they're not very specific. So it's like, if you wanted to modify the way that you present the show and prevent that in the future, you can't, because they don't tell you what the hell you did wrong.
I would just like to point out too, to a lot of people tripping, like, bro, calm down, because the reason that they set it up, and Jeran laid it out perfectly, they set it up to where that basically the idea being, truth should be free. And I think we should try our best to just get the truth out there. That's the most important thing. But it's like, when you want people to consistently bring you content and invest all their time into it, and then now they can't survive. So then eventually what happens is it gets weeded out. That's the whole game. Like, right. It's very obvious how they've set it up.
Design. So, by design. I mean, it's
exactly.
And sometimes it takes a while to see it, because it took me a while to see it. And then when I saw the people that fell off, and I saw the people that don't stay here, and then I see the people that can stay here, and the people that can stay are somebody who has the ability to at least make enough to keep their head above water. So, Owen Benjamin. But then you have people like Mark Sargent, who, kind of has some money and lives with his, he doesn't need to do a lot, or Patricia Steer. These people, when you start to see who it is that is able to stay here, it always has to do with finances. Right? Because otherwise, if you try and do this and you can't make money doing it, well, then quickly you're going to have to go back into the matrix, and you can't do it anymore. And we've seen that happen to so many people. And I don't want it to happen to me, and I don't want it to happen to Bob. But again, the bigger deal is it comes down to what you consider worth the money, right? So to me, if there's anybody out there that I actually watch and enjoy, if they don't ask for any donation, or even if they ask for donations, but I see them every week on YouTube, I don't ever give. I don't give those people money. When they say like, oh, donate to me if you can, I'd appreciate any sends to my Venmo. Very rarely will I send that person any money, because I see them on the screen and they seem to be fine and they're doing streams. Great. But when, the people that say, oh, the second half of the show is going to be for $5 or whatever it is, that's when it's on me to decide if that person's content is worth it to me. And there's some people that I've chosen. Yes, those people.
Your stream is wigging out.
Mine is?
Whoops, I lost you.
Am I gone? Uh-oh.
Motorboating really bad.
Oh, okay. Anyway, long story short, I get it when people get upset. I get it. And I understand the whole truth should be free. I get it. This is the thing I talked about in weeks past, and it pissed people off. I got emails about it, and I don't know what you mean by we need $1 million a month. And I was not saying we need $1 million a month. I'm pointing out that with a million flat earthers in the country, you would think that each of them could send $1 a month. And I don't mean to me. I don't care who it is.
Jeran, I do not know what's going on with your connection, but it is about half there.
Oh, all right. I'll shut up for a second.
I can hear Jeran just fine. So I don't know.
Everybody's. But they're saying it's you, Bob. They say you're cutting out, not me.
It's me.
Yeah, Bob, you're breaking in and out.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know. My internet seems fine here. But
okay, I'm sorry. I guess it is me.
No problem. And so, again, if it was something that was pay $10 a month for Globebusters, then that's a different story.
Down any load on the internet that's not necessary. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Anybody actually hear what he said? I didn't hear what he said.
So he's going to go cut down anything maybe unnecessary on the internet, then be back.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get it. I wish that it could be like I thought it was going to be 6 years ago, which was, hey, I love doing this. And, I was able to get by off Bitcoin for a lot of years. But after that, it was like, okay, I just want to provide. I think if I do a good job providing evidence and I show things and give my opinion, and then I ask people to donate if they would like, that they'll be able to support me. And it came close. I had 150 people or so. I can't complain about that. It was great. But again, it got down to the point where things were in trouble getting recently, and I got lucky. Talk about pulling a rabbit out of my hat with the idea of let me give some consultations, because so many people are wanting to get involved in crypto and not. So I was able to kind of keep myself afloat with that. But I've always, just to go back to what I said about approaching Bob about a year ago, I said, Bob, I got this idea. I said, I feel like people would pay $10 a month if they got a group of truthers, right? I said, it's hard to say, come pay me $10 a month, and now I pay Austin, and now pay Rodrigo, and also pay Iru, and also pay Bob. I said, but I feel like if we got people together under one roof, and we said $10 a month is access to every live stream, every video, RV Truth, you name it, everybody could come there. And then we talked about the costs involved, and of course storage for videos. And I started looking into it, making calls, sending emails, and just finding out how ridiculously, unbelievably expensive it would be. And even if we crowdfunded something like that, which was going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars just for the storage alone and the building of the site, but if we did crowdfund something like that, what it came down to still is that how do you protect that site if you call it free speech? Because if somebody shows up and they just make a channel and they start saying we need to murder all Muslims, then you're going to have a problem, because you're in a public space. And yeah, we may believe in free speech, but I think everybody would agree here that you probably shouldn't be able to just say that over and over again on a live stream, because eventually whoever owns that platform will be taken down. It's just the way it goes, right? It's just how
breaking this is the common law, right? So you shouldn't be doing that.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, I get it. I believe in free speech, believe me, but I also understand the idea of not screaming fire in a crowded theater. That is common decency. So it's different than free speech. So Bob and I, here's one thing: Bob and I practice common decency, right? So you don't see us ever say things like that or incite violence or anything like that. And I think that's what this kind of website was looking at too. Anyway, when I was telling Bob about it, so I said, does it come down to then you and I would have to be the content moderators? Like, am I going to spend? I'm just going to be going through content and deciding who to allow on. And he's like, well, maybe we could interview each person before they bring their channel on. I'm like, well, then we'll just be called gatekeepers. So ultimately we gave up the idea, but the idea was great. So then these guys approached like, oh, we charge $10 a month. They get all the content. And I kind of said, okay, so they're doing the interviews, kind of like what I said to Bob, like, I'm not going to want to interview every channel. I'm going to be called but I get it. I get why they have to interview. I get why they can't just let people come from anywhere and join, that they're building this family, and the people who get there the earliest will be rewarded the longest and it's like a team. The way they talk about it is on YouTube. YouTube loves copycats because it just creates more content, right? So if something's working really well and somebody takes that exact idea and says, I'm going to do the exact same thing, and then they even go back and forth with you, or that's just creating more content for YouTube. So YouTube loves, I wouldn't even call it competition. It's almost like stealing, right? Stealing ideas, stealing videos, putting things. They just love that. Just love content. Put it up
like
there.
Repetitive, mind-numbing nonsense.
Absolutely. They love it, right? And so this channel is totally different, where they don't want anything like that. And they want people to be working together. So it's not so much we're against this channel, we're against this. Let's call out that channel and this channel, because the better the network does, the better everybody who's on it does. So it's no longer like on YouTube where that doesn't happen at all. We get no benefit from anybody else being on YouTube. What the hell? That doesn't help this channel. Doesn't help my channel. It's just you're very solo, and you're almost like pigeonholed into saying, you guys already know I have to do the first half of my show, and I'm not allowed to talk about things that I want to because I know I will be gone. So if there's somewhere out there saying, no, come here and do that, and when you do, you're going to be rewarded. You're going to be benefited. You're going to join a team of people that are going to grow, and it exists on the blockchain. It's another part of it that I like the way these tokens are working that they're doing, and it still works as money. I mean, if they pay us and we cash out, it still works as money, but we can also hold them and see how things go. So overall, I don't see any issue with it other than, again, people are going to be upset, and that happens, and I get it. But for me, if you don't think we're worth it, then you shouldn't be upset.
Yeah. Also, you can just go make your own truther channel and invest all kinds of hours of every day of your life making content for free and see how it works out for you while you still have bills. But the way I see it is like talk about it or be about it. So I know that a lot of the people complaining about it already, they pay for Netflix, they pay for Xbox Live, they pay for Amazon Prime, all the B system that literally creates propaganda directly, meticulously crafted to keep you distracted and dumbed down. You know what I'm saying? So it's up to you. I mean, I don't, I just think it's crazy. It's kind of absurd that people would spiral about it. I guess I shouldn't be surprised at this point. You know what I'm saying? But guys, just chill out, man. Jeez,
it's almost like anything that's ever said or done, or any difference of opinion causes some hawk somewhere. But some people are not really emotionally stable, I guess. That's the issue. I don't know.
Yeah, it's wild, man. I don't know.
Even if you do
support the content getting out there and whatever it requires. And also, this is very simple economics, guys, right? Like if there's some type of monetary incentive, the content production will increase in value. Right. So, I mean, let's be real. Like you want to support what you like or you don't, and it's no big deal, but just keep the spiraling, under control.
And I was going to say, if there's anybody out there that thinks, because I've gotten some emails, one email describing almost what you said, Austin, where he was kind of going off on, it goes against my morals to pay for truth. And I'm like, okay, hold on a second. So can I see your credit card bill? Let me see where you've put your money in the last month. If you're going to say that you're hating on me because I'm charging, I said it's $5 a month if you can, but you're saying it goes against your morals. It's like, well, you're watching me on YouTube. You realize that makes money for YouTube, right? You realize that you're probably getting food from places you shouldn't. Watching TV. Do you have no credit card bills? You don't have any internet. You don't have any, all these things that are paying into it. So to me, I feel like people who are spiraling again, what are you going to do? So I want people to realize that, because I've heard recently, oh, Jeran, now you're all about money. All my comments, if you look at it, you're all about money now. Before you were about truth, now you're about money. And they don't realize that everything that I'm doing is for truth. There's no part of me that's ever been, for instance, if I made extra money last month, which I did because of all these consultations I've been doing every single day for 8 or 9 of them in a row, when I made extra money, I spent it on my office. I redid what's behind me. I bought new equipment. Like I didn't go to vacation with my wife. I didn't even go out to dinner. We didn't go to Disneyland with my son, because what's important to me is the truth. So everything that I do with all this, getting more patrons, is I'm looking into the future like, oh man, if I ever have a patron group that is paying for my bills and everything, I can go back to making videos. I can go back to doing what I love to do. And that's awesome. And so I get it. I've heard people say, oh, you said that once you made it, you're going to go back to making videos, but now you're overwhelmed with crypto people. And I'm like, yeah, because it was a decision I had to make when I was down to $1,200 a month. That was all I was making. And so we need 3,000 to live. My wife was making 1,000. She was on maternity leave or with the baby. I was in trouble, man. DLive went away. YouTube, you saw my channel had to go down. I was at the point where I'm
I
like,
mean, I'm amazed that you even have to try to explain this, Jeran. You know what I'm saying?
And the truth is, he really doesn't have to, but like, I feel where he's coming from, and it's just kind of sad. But I'll be honest, man, you don't want those supporters anyway, in my opinion, man. Quality over quantity. You know what I mean?
Well, because they're not supporters. That's the whole thing.
Exactly.
You've been a total pro on what you do for so long. That's it. That's what you do. Of course, you're going to put money in improving the quality of your content. You're going to be going forward. I wonder why people would even think it would be otherwise after your all your work in the past. It's just kind of insane. What else do they want?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I get it. People are always skeptical, right, of everything. Once you become a truther, I think you look at everybody. Is this person lying to me? Is this person lying to me? And that's probably a good thing in some ways, but a bad thing in others. Because people that are in the truth, I want to support those people. I want to support anybody giving me their free, honest opinion. And so if there's a website, so think of, for instance, TFR. TFR is the same deal as Rockfin, where they have a free speech, but they're only radio, right? There's no video. They also charge the same price. It's $10 a month. You get all the content. The difference there, they used to give the creators half of that sign up, but a year and a half ago or whatever, they announced that the website was too expensive. They couldn't do that anymore. So now we make nothing. So here's a platform saying, oh, rather than give half, we're giving all. And rather than it only being radio, it's video. And by the way, we interview and we want you and we're reaching, So to me, I looked at it and said, well, why wouldn't we give these guys a chance? It's a new platform. It's going to only get better. If you look at the numbers, you can go and click around their website. There's a place that shows you all about the token and how many subscribers they have. They're very transparent. They even tell you how many subscribers they have. So it's not just me who knows that. Go click. I don't remember the exact page on Rockfin, but you can find out the details. And that's where I saw 22,000 paid members. And if that number increases, then you know that everybody that's there presenting good content is all being rewarded for that in the way that they have this payout percentage based on what people are watching. So,
right, and we're not even addressing like the elephant in the room, which is that like I got approached for a 6-figure job offer, and they told me take all my flat Earth content down if I wanted the job, and I had to tell them to kick rocks. So you're putting your actual identity out on the internet, telling everyone the Earth is flat. Right. And we've been lied to about everything, and it jeopardizes all your livelihood to do so. So you want both sides. I mean, it's just wild. Like, come on, guys.
I told Bob this, but not many people knew. But when things got real bad for, I guess it was towards the end of last year, maybe January. But when things were getting a little bit scary, I started looking online for, okay, where can I work? And I even said, you know what, I'm going to need to work somewhere that is not public because there's no way somebody's going to hire me to just search my name one time and it's going to be. So I started thinking about, okay, well, I get crypto. I've done it in the past. I've written articles and I love the Exodus wallet. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go apply. I'm going to go work for Exodus as a customer service rep. Maybe I can still do a couple truther videos. I can work from home. They had remote jobs. So I went and applied, did an interview, thought it was a bang up interview. I got an email the next day saying, we decided not to go ahead. And I reached out to me and said, well, what is the issue? I said, I'm clearly qualified. They even gave some little tests, like 8 questions from customers that I had to answer. And I absolutely nailed it. I know that. And asked them, what was up. And they're just like, oh, there's certain types of people that we're looking for. And I'm like, oh, these mother effers just searched my name. That's it.
It's always the same kind
they
of stuff.
Searched my name. They searched my name one time and they said, oh, this guy's making videos saying, well, we don't want him on our team.
Yeah,
so
I basically get a call back like, we want you to work, but we need you to take the content down, bro. Like, stop talking about flat Earth on the internet. I'm like, bro, what a clown world.
Yeah, there's no way I could be doing what I'm doing and being a manager at CVS. Believe me, they would have come to me real quickly and told me, hey, you're going to have to make your mind up. It's either what you're doing online or this business. And I know other people have to deal with that. So when you know that that's going on everywhere, and we know there's even people that we know that are celebrities that cannot come out and say anything. There's people that pilots, things like this, that get fired from their job, right? So the people that are here that have put their name out there, that's when I made the decision, well, hey, I need to do what I can to try and make this happen or bow out. And that's sad because I don't want to do that because I love doing this. This is what I love doing. And if you can do something you love for a living, then that's great. So I get that people are going to be upset. I know people are saying, "Oh, Jeran, you're hiding truth." No, I'm not hiding anything. I'm not the one
Yeah.
I'm not the one telling you.
Don't you produce all truth, Jeran? Everything you say is
Exactly.
forever.
And guys,
I mean,
let's not go too far off the thing here. I do want to at least say that there is a bright side to this, and that is that we are picking up another night, because obviously it wouldn't do much good for me to simply just go over and do the flagship show on Sundays on Rockfin, and not still have something on YouTube to draw over an audience. Therefore, we will be doing probably a Wednesday night show. I'm thinking that's probably the best night. We will be doing a Wednesday night show. It won't be 3 hours, but in that we will be at least kind of keeping you up to breast with what we are going to be doing on the main show, what we're following, kind of giving teases as to the stuff we're talking about that we can't talk about on YouTube. And there's just guys, there's so many reasons for us to go over to that. And before we get too far out, let me read some super chats really quick. Oh, and by the way, guys, that's another advantage too for creators, is that when you get a super chat, it's 100% yours. YouTube takes a third of it. So when you super chat on YouTube, you're giving a third of that money, unfortunately, to Google, which they really need it. But when you give it on Rockfin, it all goes to the creator, which is really nice. So first super chat we have is from Scotty Osborne. It says $25 for Austin. Love what you have to say. Thanks to all. Thank you so much for that, Scotty, and I will make sure that Austin gets that. Scotty threw another $5 and said, pay it forward. Anyone willing to match me $5? David Reif says, I'll match you. Shout out Poppy Peeps. And Grandpa Bear threw in $9.99, which right there's a membership to Rockfin. It's not even $10. It's only $9.99. How can you go wrong there? So, so anyway, guys, I mean, there's I understand a lot of you are disappointed with it, but like I said, we're not going away completely. I will be coming back on Wednesday with a different show, with a Globebuster show. It'll just be slightly different. And then
the other thing is too, that we got permission to, take cuts. If we do a 3-hour show on Sunday on Rockfin, then I can go and take clips of it, put together like a 10-minute video and release that on Globebusters on YouTube. Just to kind of say, hey, here's what we talked about today. Obviously, if we're talking about anything that's not allowed here, I wouldn't bring that over. But so you'll still get the content. Nobody's hiding truth from you. Nobody's saying, oh, if you want, we're not Brian Austin Lambert, where you got to pay $300 if you want the truth. Rest in peace, by the way. I heard that he passed away. But it's not like that. And I think, like I said, more people will come along. So the only thing to remind people, though, if they do go sign up, which it's rockfin.com/Globebusters, don't just go sign up under anybody's link, because that group, whoever that is, gets the majority of your sign up. So just saying, I know I said everybody shares, and that's true after so many months. So I forgot what it is, 3 months or something. Then it goes to like a split between everybody. But the initial sign up does go to whoever brought the person. So go there, do Globebusters. Like I said, if you need to not be a patron of mine because you want all the content, Globebusters and me, which is going to be the same price, $10 over there. No problem, no questions asked. Just end the patronage and then sign up under Bob's name, because I really want Bob. If you guys don't know, like Bob said, he's humble about it. Been doing this 6 years, and the guy's been amazing. I wanted to get rid of the channel. It was too much for me to have both my channels and have to worry about everything. I was doing too much with jeranism, and I said, Bob, I don't know what to do with this. I don't want anymore. And he said, give it to me. I'll take over. I'll do the shows. And it was kind of like shocking, because I feel bad sometimes that I brought Bob into this, if you really know the history of how Bob got involved. And so he's never asked for anything, and I've always thought that he's deserved it. And at the same time, I've always known that the show could be, I don't want to say better like that. It's not really like that. But I've known that, like, oh man, if Bob was making any money, then I know he would put more effort and time into a better stream. But that's never just been a possibility. Every time we start making $200-300 on Globebusters, they take away the monetization. So there's just nothing there, and that's not making money, $200 or $300 a month.
And remember that Bob was also doing this consistently and holding a job and doing other things.
Right. So anyway, so when something like this comes along, and I'm like, no, I mean, this is why I didn't announce my link first. I'm like, no, I want people to sign up with Globebusters. Get there, get with Globebusters, and then we can invite other channels to join, and hopefully, because we just have to refer them to this guy that I interviewed with, and they just have to fill out an application, and then he's going to talk to them. And my hope would be that, within a couple months, we've got a team here, and maybe we can even work out a scheduling thing to where we know what show's on after us. So I do my Friday show. I start at noon. I'm done at 3, and I can send people to, all right, starting at 3 is so-and-so. And you just jump right over to that channel, and it becomes almost like a network. And it doesn't really matter who else is on there. You can still love the other content. Go check out Sam Tripoli or these other channels. It's great. There's tons. Go look at the videos there, and you'll see stuff about Fauci and stuff about, vaccines, everything. So there's the stuff that you can't see here. So this is a platform where now anybody who goes over there is just going to see content that haven't been able to find recently. And it's something I'd never heard of the site. So I'm all for it. I'm all for free speech. There's no way I'm going to turn my back on that and say no, even though you guys want me, even though, you're reaching out, you want us to go over there. No, we'd rather be over here where we're not wanted, where they take 30% of the rare, of the very little super chats. And it's a no brainer to me. So let's see how it goes. I would just tell people, trust me a little. If I've earned anything in 6 years, I would hope that if I make a decision that it's usually for the right reason and for the benefit of this community and the truth. And I think this is all good.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, guys. All right. So anyway, that's the deal. We're going to move forward, as planned with that. We will have the Wednesday show. I hope you guys sign up. It's really not that much money, and it helps out everybody. And it's not like, you don't just get Globebusters. You get Globebusters, you get Jeranism, and all the other people that we plan on enticing and bringing them over. And it is a truther platform that is not censored, and it's really good for everybody. And, like I said, $10 a month is it's nothing. It may be a lot to a lot of people, and we understand that, totally get it. But, it breaks down to like 30 cents a day, which is, nothing. You find that under your couch. But all right. So enough of that. Let's go ahead and move on. And guys, if I start cutting out, let me know, because I don't know what's going on with my internet, but it's been a little choppy on this end.
It's better now.
So, is it better now? Okay. Well, that's good to hear. All right. So let's see. Let's go ahead and talk about, let's go ahead and talk about the filter, the light reflections, polarity type filter. And there's a few things that I want you guys to understand about this. Now, you guys saw this video last week, and it's been on Zach Good Time for All's channel of Chris Van Maitre doing this. Now, one of the big complaints that we had, unfortunately, was that this was kind of second generation, showing the second sun. And Chris Van Maitre is working right now to get us first generation footage where he can actually show this and then show what is happening. But let me just kind of break it down for you really quickly. What's happening here is we are seeing two objects in the sky, and the second one is not a reflection. At least all evidence points to it not being a reflection. Why do I say that? Well, you got to listen up, because I'm about to explain this, and you're going to learn something about optics here. So this is really, really amazing, guys, and I really want people to look into this. But so essentially what we're seeing here is he's going and he's photographing the sun that we see, and we're seeing it, just like anybody else would with a hydrogen alpha solar telescope, okay? But then after he turns the tilt adjust, which is that little knob that Wolfie accused us of not knowing how to use it, right? After he gets any reflections out of the picture, then what he's able to do is he's able to physically pan down to the other sun, right? Now, first of all, if he's panning down to the other sun and it's a reflection, where's that reflection coming from? That's one thing, of course, Wolfie never addressed. But, that's kind of beside the point. But the thing that made it amazing, and you'll have to go and watch this again, but the thing that made it amazing is that the primary sun, not the primary sun, but I guess Crow has termed it the spirit sun, right? The second sun, he's kind of termed the spirit sun, and we'll get into why he calls that in a little bit. But the second sun, or the spirit sun, has a very, very interesting property to it. And this is the part that blows our mind. And that property is, guys, is that it is polarized. How do we know it's polarized? Well, we're gonna run you through some polarity tutorial here in a minute. But essentially, if you have a couple of Polaroid filters and you hold them up in front of you, and actually let me just show you basically what that kind of looks like, right? So we're going to let these guys show you like here. So if you have two polarities and you two filters and you run them 90 degrees out of phase with each other, it's going to completely black out everything, right? So that you're not seeing any light whatsoever. Now, the interesting thing about the second sun is it already appears to be a polarized source of sun. So once we get the hydrogen alpha on it, we can take that Polaroid filter and we can go to the primary sun and we can, shift the Polaroid filter around, and it does nothing on the primary sun. Why? Because the primary sun is not a polarized light source. But when you have when you go over to the secondary sun and you take that Polaroid filter and you shift it to the side, it blacks out the spirit sun, which means that it indicates very strongly that this is a physical object that is emitting polarized light in a spectrum that is very, very small, that is only able to be seen in the hydrogen alpha spectrum. And we're not necessarily able to see it with our visible eyes, right? So this is the thing that's really super intriguing about this. And nobody has even attempted to explain that, especially not Wolfie. In fact, like I said, his video was very, very telling in what he didn't show you. And that's, and honestly, thanks for that, Wolfie, honestly, because next time you debunk something, we'll just watch you very carefully and see what you're, moving around or obfuscating or ignoring, and that's pretty much where we should be looking. So thanks for that, Wolfie. Right on. All right, so what I want to do now is I want to show you, I want to give you a little polarity lesson here, and we're going to play a couple minutes of this video, and so you can kind of get an idea of what's going on with polarized light and what that actually means. So let me, actually, you know what? Let me reshare this with sound. Hang on just a second. So I'll stop this. Sorry, guys. I should have had this set up already. Share screen, Chrome tab with audio. All right. So there we have that. So let's go ahead and play this and give you a little bit of a lesson on light polarity here, and then we'll move forward. Here we go. Whoops.
An electromagnetic wave oscillates at 90 degrees to the direction of motion. And because it is a transverse wave, what we can do is we can look at something called polarization. And we can look at how we can maybe make something plane polarized, or we can also block out all the light or the wave completely by applying a couple of filters, which is what I'd like to look at now. Here we have the electric and magnetic fields from an electromagnetic wave. And what I'd like to do is just really consider the electric fields only. And if we were to look head on at this wave, what we see is that some of the electric fields are vibrating up and down, but there's also going to be a lot of waves here, and there's going to be some that are vibrating side to side, and some are vibrating at all different angles. And what we can say here is that the light is unpolarized. And this is like the light maybe emitted from a light bulb or maybe the sun. And what we can do is we can apply a filter to this. And what we can start to do.
Now, he said the sun, but obviously if you point the sun is not a polarized light. And it's really interesting about that because you could take a Polaroid filter and turn it, looking at the sun, it doesn't really do anything. But yet there are some people that actually are claiming that the sunlight is polarized. And I think they're saying that because they're making this assumption that it's 93 million miles away and because it's coming from such a far direction that it's polarized. I'm telling you, it is not polarized. A simple Polaroid filter will tell you that instantly, okay? And we're gonna show that very clearly. So let me continue.
Is filter out some of those vibrations. So if we had a filter that only had a slit in it that was vertical, what that would do, that would filter out all of the crossways and any light that's coming out at an angle. And what we'd have then is light that looks like this. And what we can then say is that light is plane polarized because it's been polarized into one plane. If we were to apply another filter to this, then again, all that light would get through if the two filters are in exactly the same plane. If, however, we rotate it, what we find is that the intensity of light that gets through decreases. And if we have two filters that are at 90 degrees to one another, what we find actually is that none of the light gets through. And we can use a couple of, and basically small crystals.
When we do this, these are one type that I was recommending to Austin for the that you can screw on the front of it, or you can just get these little that shows him using this and making this demonstration. So these are really cheap to get. They're really cheap to experiment and about light polarity, because what we're finding out, guys, is that a lot of the things are, especially in this unseen world of ours, as we kind of delve into, what's making this place what it is, we're finding out that a lot of this unseen world is actually polarized. And it's amazing what you can bring out with specific filters in light, and polarization is one of them that is absolutely there. Now, another thing that is very interesting to find out is that the sun and the earth both have their magnetic fields, and when you subject something to a magnetic field, and you've probably heard me talk about this on Globebusters from years past, you get what is called the Faraday effect. And the Faraday effect is essentially rotating a magnetic field, and what happens when you do that is you get a polarizing effect, just like what we're about to see here. So let's move on.
Of quinine iodosulfate. Yeah, I did have to look that up. But what they do is when they absorb light, they only emit light that is plane polarized. And if we have the two filters which are perfectly in line, so both vertically, it let some of the light through, but actually it only lets about 50% of that light through. As I start to rotate them, we can see that less and less light gets through, until eventually, if we have the two filters at 90 degrees to one another, none of that light gets through. And what we have there is just an example of how we can polarize light.
Right. Now, one thing I want you guys to notice, again, is that it took him two filters in front of this drawing, this light source that we're looking at, to literally phase out the light coming from it. Again, this is the bizarre part of the spirit sun, is it takes a single Polaroid filter to phase it out completely. That is just unprecedented, and we are very much looking for an explanation for that, but thus far we have found no such explanation. Well, mostly because nobody even acknowledges the existence of a second sun, but why would they tell us about that if that would kind of be a precursor to a flat earth, right? So anyway,
could be something
so it means
the black sun, this type of behavior.
That's exactly what it is, Iru, and the Illuminati know about it too. It's called the black sun. That's exactly what it is, and
Bob,
they have their own symbol for it.
Is it always polarized? Is it already polarized in one way? That's why.
Yes.
So it has to be already polarized in order to.
It is polarized, and that is the thing that is absolutely mind-boggling about it. It's like, how in the hell could it possibly become polarized? And reflections, there's no way that a reflection can be polarized unless it conforms to a rule. I forgot what Cami said it was called, but this is polarized all the time. It does not fit any of those conditions, but it's absolutely unprecedented.
If you rotate the filter, does it?
It blocks it out.
Right, so it's polarizing an angle of its own.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that's
so
what
if you
we
reach
see
90 degrees, it'd block it out, as opposed to having to layer it with another polar lens.
Exactly. So and that's what we're seeing now. Again, like I said, we're seeing it second generation on the Chris Van Maitre and the Good Times for All film. Chris is going to do it first generation for us. So we have a solid Brewster's Law. That's right, Cami. And Brewster's Law has a very specific set of conditions, that it has to be at an exactly specific one angle. And of course, this doesn't meet that at all. So we've eliminated that. But yeah, it's astounding. So let's go ahead and continue with this, and then we'll go further.
So we can use a light meter to have a look at the intensity of light that goes through a couple of filters. So we've got a filter to make the light plane polarized, and then we have the analyzer. And actually what we find is that the amplitude of the light that comes through is equal to the original amplitude of the light that came out of that first filter times cos theta. However, we already know that the intensity of light is proportional to the amplitude squared, and that was in the previous video. So we can then say that the intensity of the light transmitted through the analyzer is equal to the original intensity times cos squared theta. And this is known as Malis's law.
Okay, and by the way, yeah, plain truth. Yeah, Crow 777 was the one that coined the term spirit sun. I don't know why. But honestly, I would rather call it that than second sun, because second sun is not accurate. If what we're saying about this is correct, I think the more accurate term would be called source sun, right?
Yeah, I say apparent sun and actual or source. Yeah.
Yeah, primary source for sure.
Yeah, or if we're going to follow the Illuminati, we would call it the black sun because you can't see it in the sky. All right. So whatever. And you can call it whatever you like. I don't care. But that's just what Crow called it. So that's, whatever. All right, let's continue.
Why is this important? Well, we have Polaroid sunglasses, and what these do is these cut down on the glare from reflected light. Also, the light emitted by many laptop and screens on things like calculators is also polarized, which I can show maybe with that filter. As I move that filter, it basically filters out that plain polarized light. And reflected light from water is something else, which again, that's what the sunglasses cut down on. If we look at some water and there's light that comes in at a certain angle, if the angle is about 57 degrees, then the light that comes in is unpolarized. As it hits the surface, some of the light is refracted down and some of the light is reflected. And what we find is that the light reflected down is still kind of unpolarized, but all the light that's reflected is plain polarized. So this is plain polarized light. And you can often see the effect if you look at windows, or perhaps if you're driving and you see a low winter sun on a wet road, you really kind of have that.
Right, and this would be also, what Cami was talking about by this Brewster's law, this very specific angle that's coming out. So, and like I said, we have another demonstration that's going to make that abundantly clear for you. But I'm just trying to, annotate this as we go along. Let's continue.
That glare, and we can really cut that down by looking through at the plain polarized light with the polarized sunglasses. And what this has the effect of doing is effectively blocking out all of that reflected light, so you can actually see the road a lot more clearly. A final example is if we have two Polaroid filters that are at 90 degrees to one another, and between the two filters we put in a piece of tape, although in real life you might have a model of an engineering component, perhaps part of a hook or a bridge, is when you put them back over each other, we can actually look at stresses in that material. And this is a really useful way of analyzing shapes, a bit of stress analysis.
Yep, very cool. Okay, so that gives you just a little bit. And of course, there's all kinds of stuff on there on light polarity, and I would suggest that you learn it because this is absolutely paramount to what we are saying about this so-called second sun, spirit sun, primary sun, whatever you want to call it, is that for whatever reason, it in and of itself is polarized. That is completely freaking bizarre. And it's not polarized sometimes, guys. It's polarized all the time. Currently, what we're doing is when we're having Chris look at it and Crow is going to be looking at it, we're going to see if we can find out exactly what the polarization offset angle is. And this may tell us a lot about its particular propagation. The other thing that it may allow us to do is possibly triangulate it. I don't know that for sure, but we're going to try that and see how that works out if we triangulate on the primary sun, the other sun, the second sun, whatever. And we'll see how that works out. All right, so.
And let me ask a question very quickly. And this is something has to do also with eclipses?
Yes, that very much has everything to do with eclipses.
Okay.
And in fact, this is something that Cami has been saying for a long time. And these dark bodies that are up there are, have some sort of a polarizing effect. And we believe very much that this is what is causing these eclipses. And I'll have Cami talk about that a little bit. She'll probably hop on here in a little bit and talk about that. But yeah, this really starts to break down a lot of things, a lot of mysteries about the sun, because we know that these eclipses, well, let's just say I've seen enough evidence to understand that it is not the moon that is causing a solar eclipse. We've seen the evidence of the Rahu and Ketu, the black body things that are up there. We have the so-called mythology behind it. And there are other things. Zach, what were you saying that was called Lilith or something? That was some other sort of black body that I had never heard of?
Yeah, it's actually in the ephemeris. You can get one every year. It's kind of like an almanac for where the stars are lined up with the planets every year and other celestial bodies. And one of them is called Lilith. And it's a dark body. They know where it is. It doesn't have anything to do with eclipses. It doesn't line up with eclipses, but astronomers know where it is. And they just don't talk about it. We're never taught about this thing. But yeah, it's in every ephemeris every year. It's even on the cover. The name's right on the cover, Lilith.
That's bizarre. That's something I'll have to look into. I am completely unfamiliar with that. So that's something we'll have to look into. And guys, again, the astronomers of old times, of ancient lore, the dumb guys, right? The guys that thought the Earth was flat really had a lot of information on the sun, the solar eclipses, the lunar eclipses. They weren't dumb. We are just simply programmed to think that they're just, because they don't have iPhones, that they were obviously way behind us. But, I could make a case all day long that they were infinitely beyond us in technology and knowledge and critical thinking. In fact, I would say that as compared to 200 years ago, mankind today is just a bunch of dumb shits. Honestly, I'm sorry,
Absolutely.
but that's what
Absolutely.
I think.
They don't even know how to work the ground anymore.
2000. Bob, I was going to ask you one thing regarding the polarizing angle of the spirit sun, or whatever you want to call it. If it changes, if you guys could appreciate any change on it over time, if you can observe it over a long period as it crosses the sky, and see if there's changes. I don't know if it could what it could indicate, but just speculating, it might be something happening in the firmament or some other type of. And I wonder if there's something in the sky regarding other things that might be polarized behind the stars or something. I don't know.
I was looking into if they had 360 camera hydrogen alpha filters, but nobody's designed one yet.
Yeah, and nor will they. But it was a thought, and I also thought, well, wait a minute, if that second sun is polarized, I thought of this as like, why can't we just hold a filter up and look in the vicinity of where that second sun is and be able to spot something there? And for whatever reason, it takes the hydrogen alpha to bring it into the visual spectrum, that we can even perform this analysis with this changeover with the polarized filter. Now, again, the hydrogen alpha itself is not doing that because it doesn't do it to the primary sun, or the sun that we see. In fact, you can screw the filter on there all day long. It doesn't change the real sun, or the sun we see, at all. So there's a lot to learn about this, guys. But like I said, the anomaly here, the thing that is absolutely freaking mind-blowing about this, is that second sun is polarized, and that is a complete mind bender. All right, go ahead, Cami.
Can I jump in on this? Not only is it a mind bender, it's not that it's polarized, but it's the fact that it's polarized just in the diameter of it. In other words, the field around it, going around it, is not polarized. It's not affected by the filter. It would be one thing if it was the mirror in the scope causing the reflection at this angle. The whole mirror would react to it. The whole field would go dark, like when you saw the two Polaroid fields crossing. The size of this field is the exact diameter of the spot that they saw in the sky and what they're picking up. Now, polarized light, unless you're used to working with it, you're used to seeing it on your screens and on sunglasses, and they don't teach you what it really is or how pure it is, that it's taking the light and letting you only look in one angle. But it's very, very scientifically significant, and it's used in all, when you're talking fringe, your fringe patterns and everything else, your polarity is heavily measured and changes things. I mean, this is not a oh, you spin filters around and sometimes you get effects. You cannot. I challenge everybody that has polarized sunglasses to look at the sun and look at lights, look at everything all around you that has a light source, and try to spin your glasses and make it black out and cross filters. This is really
it doesn't
significant.
happen.
It doesn't happen. It's very, and Zach went out and tried to do it. It doesn't happen. It's extremely significant that something would polarize light and filter
unless it's already polarized, like a computer monitor, right? You stare at a computer monitor with sunglasses on, you can hardly see it. And obviously, because the monitor is polarized, your sunglasses are polarized, and it's going to cut out that light, and it does.
Okay, what we can tell you as far as sunglasses and a computer monitor is both of those are polarized in a horizontal direction. So I was telling Chris, for instance, if you guys want to mark your filters, your Polaroid filters, your circular filters for orientation, use your computer monitor as a horizontal. And when you cross the filter, so you get an extinct field, that position that you get the extinct field, mark the top of the filter with a V. That's your vertical angle, and 90 degrees off is your horizontal angle on your Polaroid filters. If you want to see how strong the filter and how natural it is, your computer screen is polarized, put polarized sunglasses on and turn your head. The screen will go. Now, as far as the sun and looking at it and looking for it with your unaided eye, we know that we don't see the sun with our unaided eye. Can we get some of the polarity effects? I haven't held a filter by itself and looked in the right area. Bob says, well, certainly people would have picked it up with all of the Polaroid sunglasses and without everything and the Polaroid filters on their camera. But I'm not so sure, because you guys, you're taught with Polaroid filters to set up a shot, rotate the filter at what you're looking at, and take your shot. It's not constantly rotating. You're not going to pick up this phenomena until you get the exact right angle on the Polaroid filter. And if you have sunglasses are on and you're in motion, or your camera, your video, it's not rotating, it's going to be like a shadow that goes in and out and goes away, unless you're locked in on it. So I don't know. We might be able to pick up that spot. I haven't tried. I would need to know exactly like where to look when we're setting it up and need more data points. But I haven't ruled out that we would see it as maybe a smudge in the sky, or be able to pick something up with the Polaroid filter. I don't rule out so easily that with all of the glasses and the lenses that it would have been picked up, because it probably has been, is people seeing this like black fleeting shadow. It's looking for it specifically.
Or it's just being disregarded, because Nora said, so she said, what, no scientists have ever said anything? Well, not that I'm aware of, Nora.
No. Polarized light is very, very special, Nora.
Yeah, the same scientists that say that light's a physical photon. So for everyone to just kind of really grasp, of course, you kind of reset your mind as to what the characteristics of light is. If you double layer that polar lens and then it blocks it out, if you add another one, it'll actually bring it back. So photon debunked. So those same scientists don't even know what light is.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, the video I was playing earlier called Bell's Theorem, the quantum Venn diagram paradox. I think the reason that the quantum Venn diagram paradox is a paradox is because light is not a freaking particle.
Of course.
And that's the whole damn problem with it. But we'll cover that on another show.
We did. And if you go back to the show, Baldini, or Unintended Consequences, took the paradox out of it, showing exactly how the wave pattern worked and where they canceled out and where they and what we're doing with the filters here is very much the exact same thing. You're canceling out the wave at the 90 degree that runs parallel to the dielectric inertial plane. In other words, this all has significant meaning. When I say horizontally polarized, I mean horizontally polarized to our ground. Everything has some meaning to it. These things are not just words. When you take them down to the sciences, they have a lot of significance. And so don't just say it's twisting a filter. It's not. I challenge everybody to twist a single Polaroid filter and get a light to go away.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, guys. So as I said earlier in the show, that, Zach kind of builds this bridge between Cami's visualizations and my understanding of things. So Zach put together this video because, when I finally got that aha moment, I'm like, why don't we have a video that shows just this, exactly what we're talking about? And I was just sitting there, I can't believe we don't have a video. So Zach, yesterday, went ahead and made this video just for this show today, and I think he'll probably release it, let it go public here in a little while, or I don't know, maybe he's going to make it better, but right now this is exclusive to the show. But let's go ahead and play this, and this may make this whole filter process and what we're talking about here come across clearer to everybody, because this really simplifies it for everybody. So here we go, and thank you again, Zach, for making this. There we go.
Oh, my pleasure.
Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. This is Good Times for All. There's Zachary Zabala here if you prefer. Today's video, we're going to take a look at polarized light and reflections. We have our camera here pointed at our original light source, which is a flashlight, and our reflection, which is a hemispherical lens. As you can see, we can see both reflections in the camera. I'm going to go ahead and start this recording now. And you should see the other video up in the corner of the picture. So we will take one of our Polaroid filters here. And these are kind of scratched up here, folks. We've been playing a lot with them.
Cami uses them a lot.
But as you can see,
so does Zach.
Here or here, when I put it in front of the camera and rotate it, nothing really happens. One Polaroid filter doesn't do much to the light source. What I found was very interesting, though, when I cover the original light source and grab the other filter, you come back here and look, and as I put it in front of this, the camera, you'll see here, watch this. You can block out the original light source, but the reflection still remains just as bright.
Okay, now
Pay attention.
yeah, before I want to point something out here really quickly. Okay, so what we're seeing here, guys, is the exact opposite of what we are seeing up in the sky. So the spirit sun, right, is the one that is being able to be filtered out. What everybody is calling the reflection, right? That's the one that we can actually affect with a polarized filter, right? And the main sun is completely unaffected, right? So what's going on here is exactly the opposite.
No, it's not. It's not the opposite at all. You just flipped it. What's happening is our source sun put the filter right on our source sun. Our source sun, which is the spirit sun.
Oh God, you're right. You're right.
Yes,
my bad.
The source sun is doing polarizing the light. It has perfectly polarized light. What we see as our sun is not a physical, but what we're seeing is the reflection of it, or the manifest. It's basically holographing down, or that's probably a bad word for people that don't watch my work much, but reflecting down like it does. In other words, mirroring down. So you get an image if you even, you can hold things and do it. But you're right. If even a polarized light is going to, its reflection is not polarized.
Okay.
Pay attention. The reflection is not polarized, but the source is, but the reflection isn't.
Exactly. The source is, the reflection is it. And you're right. My brain got in the way. Excuse me.
Getting that reflection to polarize, getting a reflection to polarize is a bitch. You have to use something called Brewster's Law, and it's a hard setup because you're working with light angles that you don't see in your visible spectrum. So you need measurements. It's a tricky one to set up.
Okay.
Not on a physical object, but when you're doing it off of a light beam, it's very finicky.
Okay. So I'm going to back up just a little bit. Disregard what I said. I definitely, I had that backwards. All right, let's continue on.
You'll see here, watch this. You can block out the original light source, but the reflection still remains just as bright. So the original light source is gone, but the reflection is just as bright as it's ever been. You cannot block Polaroid light's reflection.
Or refraction,
I
right?
can put it up here, and you'll see.
And look at the whole dark field on these. The whole field on
stays nice and bright.
dark everywhere around it.
Right, Cami. Somebody in the chat said that is a refracted, not reflected light going through the lens. What would you say to that?
We've done it with reflections, refracted. We've tried it every which way, and it doesn't. I mean, the physics are written on this. It takes Brewster's law. You're rewriting physics that were written before I was born.
Right. So it's the same effect essentially, whether it's refracted or reflected light. It's not going to phase it out.
It's not going to lineate it at all. You're not going to get this effect of having lineated or polarized light.
Exactly. Okay, so let's continue on. So I hope that answers your question. Here we go.
Block Polaroid light's reflection. I can put it up here and you'll see the reflection stays nice and bright, but the background, has to be a Polaroid filter over that original light.
Go ahead.
I need to interrupt here and just tell our home experimenters that want to buy lasers and try with their Polaroid filters. Your lasers columnate, do not lineate light. You might burn through your filter, but you're not going to get the effect you're looking for. You need to lineate the light, not columnate it.
Yes, there's a definite distinct difference.
Yeah, I tried lasers. Lasers didn't do. I tried a bunch of different stuff. And then yesterday, I don't know, this one just popped into my head. The whole using the lens like that.
Yep. Okay. Oh.
Try it any way you guys want, though. Those filters are cheap. You have sunglasses, you have one. When you have a pair of polarized sunglasses, wear them, twirl them around, get one light source to totally blink out at the light, not a physical object. You can get it to blink when it's reflecting on a physical object, but you need physicality again.
Okay. And Zach, did you have any more to add to that?
No, thank you for just lighting the, and to Rodrigo too, lighting that fire under my butt.
Yeah, awesome. we've been sounded like a bowling alley around here the last few days, all of us knocking our heads together. All right, let's continue on.
And just because there is doesn't mean that the second source will be blocked out by a single filter. We would need an additional filter to block out the reflected light over the reflected light itself. See, if I were to take this and lay it over this, now that one disappears and is gone.
Can you stop it for a sec, Bob?
Okay.
I noted, I didn't say this in the thing because I didn't really notice it, but if you watch the video up in the left corner, it acts like an eclipse. It starts at one side and then sweeps across. It doesn't just all go out at the same time. Like if you're looking at the camera right here, it doesn't do it as well. But if you look up at the actual camera video in the corner, you can actually see it start from one side and then sweep down across it like an eclipse does.
Yeah, which is bizarre. And of course, we're going to elaborate on that too, guys. And this is where this research is going to go. When we take it over to Rockfin, we're definitely going to have better footage, and we're going to be looking at these effects specifically.
And we're going to be adding the longest wavelength red in, where it turns red in between, and demonstrate exactly how this can happen. Again, we can, even though Polaroid filters are just little filters with tiny lines drawn and they're lineating the light, that is polarized light. And again, it's called the purest light. We have like technology and filters everybody does, having them around without even knowing them, to scale like these things and show you hands-on. Yep. We're not making this up or saying that this is something that can happen. We can scale it down and say this is what happens with light when you have these conditions.
Yep. Okay, so let's continue on.
So it all has to do with a polarization field, I would call it. You need to have some kind of field polarizing a light source in order for a single polarized lens, like I have here, to actually block it out. So what is going on with that other object we're picking up behind the sun and a hydrogen alpha filter that is also able to be polarized out. This is the only way I can get light to polarize any type of man-made light is by putting a Polaroid filter in front of it.
Yep.
The significance,
So I just
Mr.
thought that was
Anderson, in the
interesting.
chat, is one filter. The Spirit Sun went out with one filter. We only had one filter.
Yep.
But that's the basics of the whole, why this other object we're seeing up there in the sky, why it being polarized is so big. The original light source
Yeah. So, all right. So let's go ahead and kill that there. Now, guys, I'm gonna propose something here that I think is very interesting. And I just thought of this just now, but one of the things that I talked about a long time ago was the Faraday effect. And what the Faraday effect is essentially when you put light through a magnetic field and rotate that magnetic field, it will act just like a polarizing filter. All right. They act exactly the same. Now, I just thought of this, and everybody tell me if I'm crazy or not, but it just occurred to me that hydrogen is one of the is the lightest element essentially. So obviously there's going to be a whole lot of hydrogen at the top of the atmosphere, right? And we're using a hydrogen alpha filter. And so I'm wondering if when people are photographing like the second sun effect, if we're not getting a combination of just the right polarity that is happening with the Faraday effect and coming through the hydrogen in the atmosphere is not creating a very similar effect, so that we are actually able to see the secondary sun sometimes without using the hydrogen alpha filter. I mean, I may be totally wrong on that, but it just kind of, I just associated the hydrogen. I don't know. But so I want to show you now what the Faraday effect is. And I put on a small demonstration here for what Faraday effect. And this is cool because it's kind of old timey, but it's really cool. And we'll watch this as this guy shifts light through a burner, which is a polarized light, and we get to observe what's happening when he shifts the magnetic field around it. So let's do that really quick. Here we go.
And can I talk a minute and just
sure.
clarify as you're playing this movie for the people in the chat? When we don't think that there's a little miniature filter in the sky, perhaps polarizing the light. The other thing
this is the Earth's field and the sun's magnetic field.
Okay, the electromagnetic, the other way that you can create polarized light other than one of those old filters with lines in it is an electromagnetic field. So that is the Faraday effect. It creates pure lineated light. The two simulate each other in experiments. What you do with the filter is simulating what you get from an electromagnetic field. That's where we learn the pure light and where we learn to simulate it from. The Faraday effect.
There you go. Okay, so let's watch this little video. This is kind of cool, guys. Listen up. Okay, yeah, that's right. I forgot this guy just doesn't have any audio. He's just, you can hear them messing with the stuff. But yeah, so basically he has these two great big huge coils, and he's just sticking a lens, in between it, and then he's going to have a light source at one end, which he's going to show here very shortly, and then we're going to be able to actually rotate the magnetic field or the polarization of the field and phase it out. Now he's going to have another, I believe he has another polarizing filter at the end at the eyepiece, or it's in the center, one of the two. Okay, so the light of a gas burner is polarized and it goes through the glass of the analyzer. This is rotated until it is perpendicular to the polarizer in order to obtain the extinction of the light. All right, so there he's doing it. Now he's doing it with the polarizer Now he's doing it with the field only. So as she's moving this lever back and forth, it is changing the phase of that magnetic field, and it is rotating it in free space, which is then polarizing the light coming from the burner. All right. So that is how it happens in nature, guys. The Earth has a magnetic field. The sun has a magnetic field. They are operating together. Now, an interesting thing about this is, and Cami figured this out a long time ago also, is that mainstream science knows full well of this thing called the heliospheric current sheet, okay, which essentially is a rotating field, a rotating magnetic field, which has a periodicity. God dang, what was it? 30 days, Cami? Is that right?
Yeah, about 28 days.
About 28 days. So they know about this, and then what this causes is this particular effect called a sector boundary crossing. Okay, so basically, and what we're trying to do is put this all together for you here and explain how these are actually happening, how we're seeing it, why these phenomena are becoming visible in the sky, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so what else do you have to add to that, Cami? Anything?
Say it again. I'm sorry. I was chatting, not listening. This is why I'm not a good show person.
No, I just said that, you know, we have these effects of the heliospheric current sheet, which is then causing, you know, an
lunar
SBC,
wave.
a sector boundary crossing.
Right.
And, you know, Cami figured this out a while back. You guys are all familiar with Crow 777's lunar wave. And we think that this is what's happening, is that the times that this has been caught, this is happening during a sector boundary crossing, right? Which is a part of this heliospheric current sheet, right? Now, can we prove it? We should be able to, because we know when this is actually happening and we can actually track this. So we should be able to, we have data tables. So we should be able to then make observations and predict when this is going to happen. That's next up on the block, guys.
The reason Crow's wave would be so demonized, by the way, is really the reason anybody looking at his work would demonize it is if you look at his work, what the lunar wave really looks like, if you're familiar with double refraction and optic axis, is not, it is like a polarity shift of an object that has two optic axes. It's something, again, that I can repeat and show people. I've showed Rose and Jason and that, but if you put it up into the sky and said, we have a sheet going through that we know is positive, negative polarity, and we have the moon going through it, we know when it hits the Earth, because when it hits the Earth, it affects our ham radio equipment. But if it hits the moon, if it's the same thing hitting the moon, it certainly does not work in their little heliospheric model. If you start picking up that the moon is the moon and this Earth are getting it at the, you know, proximity they are, and the way that it would lay out is not heliospheric at all. So I imagine they would want to demonize the effect for people looking at things, because you can get bioreferencement and all kinds of readings off of his work if you look at it a little bit differently, as in light shifting. But I can see why they would not want anybody at all to look at it, because it's a total nail in the coffin on the heliocentric model.
It is. They really want to discourage people. And guys, I have to tell you about this. I mean, obviously, you know, if you know anything about Wolfie's and my history, we don't get along. He hates my guts, you know, whatever. But what was amazing,
you guys love each other.
But what was amazing was the amount of people, I mean, hundreds of trolls a day came over saying, you know, telling how stupid we were because we didn't know how to use the little tilt switch on the telescope, all this stuff. I mean, it was absolutely unprecedented. They were attacking Cami.
They're attacking me. They were attacking.
I haven't seen that many trolls since I did the 2 bucket lid experiment 4 years ago.
Hysterical.
It's
By the way,
unbelievable.
people, trolls, I laugh and I delete the comments. I don't read the whole. You do the same name over and over again. We don't even read them. We just delete them. And also, it just is really helpful because it's like, wow, we are over some type of target that somebody doesn't like, because a lot of people are wasting a lot of time saying you're fucking idiots. You can wiggle filters. Good people, go ahead, Wolfie. I challenge you with one Polaroid filter, one filter, not to make the whole field jump out, and do this so it's repeatable for everybody, because what we're doing is repeatable for everybody. Put it out there how this can be done. It's a magic
Wolfie,
trick.
in other words, Wolfie, replicate what we're doing instead of your stupid straw man that nobody is fooled by.
Instead of calling us names, grow up. This
I would
isn't
say
junior high.
No one's fooled by it. Obviously, some pretty gullible Globers are fooled.
Yeah, it's insane. But yeah, so I just wanted to say that. I mean, like I said, hundreds, and then Zach, you started getting attacked left and right. With
Yeah,
hundreds.
like I said, that was the most I've seen in forever. All the trolls that quit trolling because I just erased their comments. I thought they learned. But no, it was like every one of the old troll ones from like years ago, all the old accounts. I just saw comment after comment after comment. Yeah, it was
Must
crazy.
have been a full moon.
Made me feel very powerful, trolls. Thank you. I really get high off of it. Keep it going. I don't mind deleting the comments.
Yeah, it just told us how over the mark we were, guys. That was the really great part about it. But that's neither here nor there. But again, thanks, Wolfie. You keep just telling us exactly where to go by sending these brigades of trolls over and misleading and all this stuff. What you don't say speaks volumes. So there you have it. All right, so I want to shout out to Scotty Osborne, who threw in another super chat. Thank you so much, Scotty, for your support. We really appreciate it, and hope to see you sign up over at the new platform and see you over there. And then also hat tip, shout out to RWG Truth Believer. Thank you so much for your super chat, or your super sticker, I guess. Much appreciated. So there we have it. All right, cool. So any comments on this, guys? I mean, any questions or comments about what is going on here, or anything like that?
Any questions for Cami?
Okay, cool.
Well,
all right.
Cami, maybe you want to answer this recurring question in the chat. Is it possible the firmament itself is just polarized?
No, it's not. The reason it's not possible that it's the firmament itself is, keep in mind that when we're getting these effects with the filters, it is only the pinpoint of light that's reacting to the filter, not anything else in the background. The background's not changing out much. It's only that one. This is what really makes it impossible. It's only that little plane. Now, again, we say that it'd be like somebody cut the perfect size filter for it, or the other thing that would polarize light that perfectly would be an electromagnetic field. That's the only other thing that they know about that's going to do it to the conditions. And again, the only thing that people can throw out in physics is Brewster's angle, but we've ruled it out.
Right. So the phenomena is specific to the diameter of the light itself, the light source itself.
Right. And so having the background not react tells you that it's only where the little orange field is. It's not the whole plate. It's not the mirror. It's where that orange dotted. It's what you're picking up. It's denoting physicality, Austin. Physicality in the way of a electromagnetic field, or the other thing that could polarize light so perfectly would be a crystal. But regardless, it's physicality.
Physical, right?
And the EM field that you have up on the screen coming up, where he's showing you can create the same effect again by I love it, taking a magnet and running it over copper buttons, which induces an electrical current, which polarizes light. And again, all of our polarized glasses and everything is a result of Faraday figuring out this pure polarized light that an electromagnetic field creates. And then we simulate it.
I was gonna ask a couple of things. How does this relate, if at all, with rainbow phenomena? Because people talk about rainbows, they have to be under some sort of polarized light, or
Okay.
I'm not so sure.
Okay, a rainbow and where it's going to fit in with it. It fits in perfectly with it. It just fits in a little bit. I'd like to step you there. Right now, we're playing with the filters, and we're just cross angling them at a 90 degrees, which is, again, this is physics at its most basic. As soon as you start working with Polaroid fields, you remember, have you seen me between two fields where we let all of the different colors of light and stretch it and do that? It has everything, the firmament and the angles of polarity and everything, and what rain does and the raindrops have everything to do with it. It does all pull in together, but it's not as clear cut and simple as what we're doing today. It's a whole show on how it works, and I'd love to go there. I've spent hours pondering it, and it
to
does
reproduce
work.
a rainbow with an artificial light, you need a kind of glass in between.
You need to be indoors. You can't, or I mean, I'm sorry, you need it to be either outside under the sky, or you need a mirror or a reflector. You can't just willy-nilly, or a crystal. I mean, you can produce it with a crystal. You can stretch the light and polarize it, like when you have a crystal hanging and it makes rainbows on your side. But you need a little bit of physicality again, and this is effect that you get with physicality of it changing. So the firmament, I think, has everything to do with it. And I think Brewster's angle, not at the angle that it makes it extinct, but again, when you angle the Polaroid filters and that you get at different angles that you look at, it changes the way you see light. And the rainbow is perfect in that.
Yeah, and the rainbow is perfect because it shows you that the Earth's not going to flood again because the heavenly window is opened back up. And so when you see the window or the rainbow fully intact from beginning to end, it is literal physical evidence that the firmament is fully intact, thus impossible to flood.
In Hawaii, you can often go in a helicopter and have perfectly round rainbows that you can't fly into because they break up as you try to go through them. But it's like, it's amazing when you get up in a helicopter in the round rainbows of Hawaii.
Wow. Yeah. That was when I found out that
by the waterfalls.
Full circles are crazy.
Yep. All right. Beautiful. All right. So there's our case, guys. For those of you that said it was just a reflection or refraction, I'm sorry, but it's not. All right. I don't care if you live in Florida and you get lots of sunshine there. It's not a reflection. It's not refraction. I don't know what the hell it is, but I do know what it isn't, and that ain't it. And I think that we really need to endeavor to figure this out. And maybe there's a simple answer for all this. I would love it if there is. And I'm sure the ballers are going to jump in with their 2 cents and telling us how stupid we are. But whatever, ballers, if you do that, it's going to be put to the test. So, don't just sit there and say, well, it's because of this and not have any backup behind it. Because if you don't have any backup, then you're pointless. Go ahead, Cami.
And ballers, I'm sorry, if you can come up with something that works, it will mean I learned something new, and I studied this a lot. I mean, and in fact, I think it would be the world would learn something new. So I don't think there would be a lot to gain from that too. I'm looking to learn the truth, not to be right or wrong against somebody. And as you learn more, you learn more. And things can change. So it's like, I'm not interested in winning an argument. I'm interested in learning the truth.
Exactly. And that's same for us, same for me. If the world was really a ball, well, and we figured that out, then so be it. But, well, it isn't. So whatever. All right, guys, cool. So let's move on.
Bye, everyone.
So Zach, one last thing about you is you have been taking around a Polaroid filter, looking at everything, basically trying to replicate this effect. Have you been able to do this on anything thus far?
No, but I'm seeing some questions in chat that I'm going to try tonight, doing it with the stars, and I'm going to start playing with the moon. Cami said there's a gentleman that's going to be sending us a P900 with a bunch of filters.
No,
or a P1000.
Full spectrum. Full spectrum. I'm going to be working in different light spectrums and hopefully getting some good photographs. Thank you, Steve. My heart is overflowing with how people that have been quietly supporting works and getting the filters and things to work with. I couldn't be more awestruck by it. I mean, this week has really been melting for me, heartwarming.
Awesome. So continuing on.
Yeah, I will make this video viewable after the show. And if you guys have any ideas on stuff you want me to just try and look at, I'd appreciate it. That's where most of, the greatest ideas come from is from you guys. So anything you have for me to try out, yeah, would be awesome. Thanks.
Please. Also, Bob, don't forget about the lighthouse video that they sent us, because I think, and even discussed seeing them, I think that was really a fabulous video that ties right in with this.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Where was that? Oh, actually, let me do that. Copy URL at current time. Okay, so what she's talking about, guys, we had a meeting with Sean, who is the guy over at Lighthouse, and of course he has his channel. He works with a guy named Wes Blaze Music, or Wes Blaze, and they are actually modeling, trying to model the firmament and everything like that. And one of the things that they were talking about modeling was modeling the New Jerusalem. And it's very interesting because when you take the description of the New Jerusalem, it names a specific set of minerals that are to be used in its construction. And what we found and when Cami was talking to them about this, is that, Cami was able to basically say, oh, well, here's what's going to be happen. You're going to be looking at these minerals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That very same day that we had that conversation, which I believe is the 14th, somebody who is unbeknownst to us, and this was sent to us later, talking about the parable of the vineyard, sent us this video talking about this construction of the New Jerusalem and what minerals it's going to be using. So I want to play just a couple minutes of this, because this is a mind blower that this even came forward, and the timing was just bizarre. It's one of those things. It's like, holy Toledo, Batman. So let me play this for a minute and see what you guys think. Oops.
New Jerusalem, it's said, is built, made up of 12 precious stones that we would make into jewelry now. Now, here's the fascinating thing, which to me is the final proof that that book is the Word of God, that it must be God inspired.
Now, mind you guys, also remember I said earlier about how polarization would play a huge role in all of this. Well, it certainly does in this. And again, this is just mind-blowing, that coincidence. Let's continue on.
In the last generation only, we've discovered how to make purer light than we had before. Most light is bouncing around, waves crashing into each other, going in all directions, so that the light coming from that spotlight still lights this side of my face by reflecting off that tinsel up there. We're used to light coming at us from all directions. But we've now discovered how to send light in one direction. Laser light is the most common. You've seen laser light beams straight as a die. But we've also got what we call cross-polarized light. A polarized filter, if you can imagine, allows light through like that. But if you put another polarized filter at right angles to that, you've really got a very fine filter. If you take sunglasses and take one lens and put it at right angles to the other, it goes even darker. It only lets very straight light through. Now, people have taken jewels and precious stones and cut a very thin slice for microscopic purposes, and then shone cross-polarized light through them to see what happens. To put it very crudely, what happens to these precious stones in pure light? And one of two entirely different things happens with every jewel. The technical term, give you a bit of science for a moment, is anisotropic jewels and isotropic jewels. Now, what happens is this. Some jewels in pure light, whatever their color to begin with, they may be red, blue, or green, turn into all the colors of the rainbow and the most fantastic patterns. Other precious stones in pure light lose all their color, just go black, look like a lump of coal dust. And it's only in this generation that people have discovered this unusual property. For example, diamonds in pure light are nothing.
Did you get that, ladies?
They're not
Did you
even
hear that. Diamonds, nothing. They won't be there.
No, so make the most of them here. Rubies, garnets, just lose everything.
Emeralds.
No, they keep it.
Ah, good.
There are other stones that are anisotropic and go into these beautiful colors. Now, here's the fascinating thing. The 12 precious stones that God uses to build the New Jerusalem are all anisotropic. In pure light, they are all far more beautiful. And God doesn't touch the diamonds or the rubies. He doesn't build with this. No, let's just...
Okay, guys, so that is mind-boggling that, Cami was just having that discussion with Sean, telling him this very exact same thing, and she was connecting it, with the Sephiroth, and they are using kind of a dome model. Cami's using more of a Sephiroth type of model. They're going to be conferring on this and actually building, this model. But I just think that it's amazing. Yeah, go ahead.
One question would be, does that mean, and I guess Cami could jump in on that, does that mean that if you grab different kinds of gemstones, you can use them also as filters? And you'll be interested to see that. Oh, is that true?
You can and I do use different gemstones.
She does it all the time.
I do it all the time. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, no, you do it all of the time. And all of this is just, like I said, with the people there. Isotropic and anisotropic are properties that, along with refractive index, optic axis, and things like this, is how light works and how you see things. It's what they really should be teaching everybody in school. And where they do teach it, ironically enough, I think they do teach it in the Ivy Leagues, but where they do teach it is in the little trade schools with and it's not a little trade school, but I mean the trade schools with gemologists, people that have to determine reality from not reality. But it's they don't say Faraday effect. They don't. In fact, they mess up the terms quite a bit. It's the exact same thing.
Kind of practical, or focuses on the jewel making rather than on the science around it.
Right, on how to get to what the truth is about what you're looking at. Are you looking at something real, or are you looking at something? And if it's real, was it created naturally, or was it created in a lab? Is it somebody trying to fake it, which happens all of the time in the jewelry industry, or how is it treated to get to it? So in other words, you're looking for pieces of reality on how things work to it. So it's just a different vocabulary, but it happens to be how everything works out there, how you see things. In other words, it should be, even though it's taught because I needed it for practical knowledge, it really is the information that should be taught in every classroom. And it really is how things work. And it's a shame that we spend all of our time memorizing facts instead of learning how to read what something is by its properties. It breaks my heart.
So effectively, the scriptures are more scientifically significant than textbooks. Interesting.
Interesting. They're very scientifically significant, and I have not found in the Bible, as far as like putting in Gaussian surfaces and things in reality, I found nothing that doesn't work in reality. I found no conflicts in the Bible with that's not. In other words, I find no complex.
Yeah, and mind you, this is coming from, Cami and I are not what you would call overly, religious or anything like that. I'm obviously very interested in more the scientific side of it. And what I have come, my conclusions, I've been saying this for a long, long time, is that there's no doubt in my mind the firmament is there. I have produced tons of evidence for it. And it seems like that, no matter what else you may think of the Bible, and there's obviously a lot of takes out there on it, as far as our cosmology and a lot of technical things, it seems to be really amazingly spot on. So, make of that whatever you will.
Let's go.
I was going to ask Cami, like with if you make a quartz, for instance, has the piezoelectricity phenomenon, right? And the question would be, does that have a magnetic field, and does that work as a filter as well? I guess anything would.
Okay. Quartz does have a piezoelectric, and that's due to the hexagonal lattice structure. And I can demo. I think I've done it before. It's boring, but if you think of the points, that's the lattice structure. And I am going to put me on camera. I can't do this without visuals. I am sorry. You guys, I'm really sloppy today. I'm really sorry. StreamYard.
Are you going to put yourself on camera? All right, let me cut over to you. Well, as soon as you go live, I'm streaming the next thing we're going to talk about, which is our whistleblower. But so okay, there you are. Let me cut over to you. Hang on just a second.
And I don't.
Oops, wait a second. All right, there you are. We see you.
Okay, and let me see if I can get a pointer. I don't see what I'm looking or what I'm placing on screen, so that's just my problem. But with doing it, the piezo is caused by a lot of structure that, if you think of charges plus, minus, plus, so if you squash that in a line, you'd have an all over positive line, negative, positive, negative. If it got pressed in this direction, you'd have a negative line. Your plates are working negative, positive just by squishing the hex. So the lattice structures is everything to piezo if you think in terms of charge potential. These are things that are built in naturally with all solids, and that's what crystals are all solids, and that's really what properties are. Is we bring them out of objects. I'm going to get off camera now. I'm being blinded by the light.
Okay.
We properties are measurements of these things. How do they, like, how do these crystals, how do they take in light? What do they bend it out? How do they conduct heat? How do they conduct electricity? Are they insulators or they're conduits? What is their magnetic field? What is their polarity? How strong is it? Your ones with your strongest magnetic field are going to have a very strong ferro magnetic, columnization or alignment. They're going to be your ferros with alignment on it. Everything creates a little field around it. How actual magnetic it is compared to just the field of because you think of magnetics only in terms of the ferro or how the magnet reacts, but there's the para and the dia fields that are again, you have to look at through filters to see them, so you don't think even the ferro you have to look at through, because they're the fields you're not considering those proportions. So everything does have a field around it, and what you would recognize as a field, magnetic field, would just be a more ferromagnetic material columnated, so it's going to react that way.
But you're saying that's just one of many fields.
Yeah. Well, in other words, ferro, in other words, everything does produce a field. How magnetic you call it, you're only putting in one quality on it. So something that's not ferromagnetic, that doesn't react well to a magnet, could be paramagnetic and still reacting to the field in a different way. It's just not the iron, it doesn't have an iron content or something reacting to the field that way. Everything reacts to the portions of magnetics and electricity, the ferra, the dia, and the para, and yet we're taught really just thinking in one terms, the ferra. It's just again a way to relearn things, that there's more to it than ferra on it. So the more you learn, the more you'll see that everything reacts to the field in its own way, and the way it reacts to the field is its properties, its density, its alignment, its again, how well does it conduct electricity, how well does it Bob has seen me touch a diamond and an ice cube and what I can do. A lot of people have the properties of these things.
Crazy.
are what we use in catalytic converters, and again, these are all natural elements that we've learned what their properties are, so we manufacture them into our products. But the properties were there for us to identify before we nothing is done as beautiful as it is done in nature. What we do is very, very clumsy by comparison.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and move forward. Hopefully, if I haven't blown.
It's just so interesting.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? And this is where we're going. Like I said, I really want to get more technical, and if we can get enough people signing up on Rockfin, to actually give us a budget to carry this even further and bring the community over to this, this is going to be wonderful, and this will be filtered down, through everybody in Globebusters, and we just really think this is a great way for everybody to go. So
it would be nice, Bob, to later take a look at those particular gems that appear on the New Jerusalem description, and then see what that guy is talking about at some point, and not now necessarily, but see how they go through those changes in colors and stuff, what he was talking about.
I can demonstrate isotropic and anisotropic. is something that in the future, again, when we have the channel and that, I can sit down, do a show on it, and show you how it's demonstrated, see it, break it down so you see it. These are optical. These are all optical qualities that you guys are getting scared by trying to do the math, but when really you need to just make the observation and hold the pieces. So we'll show everybody how to make rainbows, how to do, how to differentiate what they're looking at, what these properties are, and how to look for them, and even test for them yourself. Because guess what? I'm working with the lab right now. You see the filters I'm working with. I'm used to working in the past with a very high equipment lab. That, in other words, in the industry I was in, the difference was between telling if something was natural and fake, and they were coming up with new alternatives all of the time, right? And so if I asked for a piece of equipment to tell the difference, they were very, I want a piece of equipment
Happy
that's
to do it.
I want a piece of equipment that costs maybe $300 that I won't make a $50,000 mistake with. In other words, there was no offset as far as if I wanted a piece of equipment, I got it. What I've learned from working at home is I can do most of the equipment. I can do the Polaroid filters, and so much of the stuff I don't need the fancy name or brand name on, but I still go through in the setup of it a lot of equipment because it's hands-on, and I
Awesome.
work with it. I destroy
Easy
it.
shop. So cool to have a shop at home when you
But yeah, again, I'm not complaining, and people are sending me things like full spectrum cameras. People that understand what I'm doing or that have pieces of equipment that I might be able to work with are donating them, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. So thank you.
Yeah, Cami will definitely be using them for sure. All right, guys. So let's move on now to our next topic on this. And that is, I said earlier in the show that we appear to have a whistleblower. Okay. Now, first reaction, and I get this from everybody, is one of extreme skepticism. I certainly feel that way. But after reading this kind of interchange that's going back and forth, and it's scrolling right now on the screen for everybody to read, you can take your time and read it here shortly. But I get the impression that this guy is possibly he's possibly the real deal. And let me say why I see that, because he's not pretending like he's an authority on everything. He is saying things that make a lot of sense as far as if he were truly on the inside of NASA, and how compartmentalized it is. Some of the things that he has revealed about the firmament have been very eye-opening. And I do not, just the overall vibe of what I'm reading here, and you guys read it as well, to me seems legit. And now why he's doing this, I don't know, because honestly, you look at this and it's like, I wouldn't say that he's revealing anything that we haven't already speculated on or flat out asserted here on Globebusters. So in that regard, I wouldn't say that he's revealing anything groundbreaking that I would say violates anything that NASA would really give a crap about. But who knows? Whatever. But it's just interesting to watch this interchange back and forth and read it and what he says. So I just and by the way, as you're seeing it scroll here, Dave Weiss is the one that's in red here. He's firing these questions back to him in red, and then of course he answers them, and he'll be speaking in black, and you can see the time and date on the emails and all that stuff. But I don't know. It's interesting. Like I said, I don't think it's anything groundbreaking that is revealing anything that we didn't already know or suspect. I am looking forward to maybe questioning him about some specifics about the firmament, being as how he is an engineer, or supposedly was an engineer at NASA. And like I said, take this with a huge grain of salt. And we're not making any specific claims about him being right or wrong or anything like this. It's just something that came in. We're sharing it. It's up to you to decide whether it's legit or not. But whatever you do, don't call us shills for presenting it, or we will never do this again. I mean, it's just absurd that you would attack the messengers rather than read the message, right? So, Jeran, you've seen this. You've read a lot of this stuff. What do you think about it? I mean, what's your feeling on it?
I'm just open to anything. I mean, again, I would love something that's like earth shattering. That's like, oh, we never thought of it that way, or oh, none of us thought that. This is kind of, it's too much exactly in line with what I already think. That makes me think, well, when we're throwing spitballs at the wall here, I mean, the fact that, okay, so we're right about everything. I don't know about that. I don't put that much stock in my own opinion when we're talking about things that we're kind of, taking some guesses and throwing some hypotheses.
But you know what? I'm throwing one out there, like what he did with the gas bubble, where the sun is, and the fluid in that. This is a lot of the stuff I've been working with in my office, and nobody's been in here with me. So it's almost like I felt on some of this stuff he was reading, like what I was doing and not talking about. There were some weird things in there, Jeran.
No, there is. That's why I said, and it doesn't hurt. I mean, I know there's people out there. Oh, it's a deception, and they're gonna pop out and make fun of you. So knowing that ahead of time always tells me that, oh, great, then I don't put anything behind it. It's not life changing one way or the other. It kind of helps confirm some of the stuff I've already thought. Shows me a few new things. So again, it's neither here nor there. I think Dave needs to ask him for, a paycheck. I mean, I worked at CVS a long time ago, but if somebody said, Jeran, we don't believe you worked at CVS, provide a paycheck, I'd be able to do that in no time. So
yeah, because they're not going to make fun of us until this happens. They don't make fun of us yet.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? And then think about how ridiculous that is, because remember, us as truthers, what we're doing is we're trying to find the truth, right? So if people who are believers in the globe think the truth has already been told to you guys, like, what are you doing? The truth. So it wouldn't be very good for them to then tell lies to us to like try and, how is that showing a good side of them? Like, oh, these guys are looking for the truth, I'm going to go lie to them. Well, that's exactly what we're saying. We're saying that you're liars.
Exactly.
So if you want to prove that to us, then go ahead. It's exactly what we've been saying the whole time. And then we have every right to doubt everything you say because you are going around lying to people. Let's see. And if you get off on that, if you get off on telling lies like this, then how do you not understand that that's exactly what we're saying about the people in charge? That they get off on lying to you because they think of you as lesser people, just like I'm sure you get off at lying to flat earthers because you think they're lesser people. How do you not see that this is exactly the premise of our entire complaint? You're proving it to us right in front of our faces. So to me, I would love to hear some Glober come out and say, oh, this was my idea. What, going back and forth, sending emails to Dave? Like, who has that kind of pathetic life?
Yeah, what a loser, bro. If you think we're so crazy, that makes you such a loser.
Let me chime in, guys. Hey, everybody.
Yeah. Hey, Dave.
Hey. So,
Hey, Dave.
Just like everyone else, hey. When I first got this, I'm like, okay, Red's rhetoric and, fight the fat shirt. And that was my first response. But then so I started asking questions. And, as we saw, the questions got pretty interesting answers. So I'm not putting, my inner sense tells me I'm not dealing with one of those asshats. I'm dealing with somebody who's fed up, who's sick of what's going on in the world and is trying to say something. There are a few things that he told me that are not in this transcript here that also lead me to give weight to what he's saying. But I have a series of questions to him now, the last questions. Let's see how he answers those. I think that will really tell the tale.
And, to Jeran's point about spitballing and being so spot on, you got to remember, we're putting together a puzzle here, and we're pretty logical people, and the puzzle certainly has specific answers that are going to be true. And when you couple logic with this sort of putting together a puzzle, I'm not that surprised that we're spot on with a lot of these spitballs because, again, we're approaching this from a logical, sort of zetetic, scientific standpoint.
Yeah, and
Occam's razor. Exactly, John.
The other thing you can tell is that when you do read it, you do recognize that the person either knows what they're talking about or is a flat earther, really, because I've never heard a globe earther even come close to articulating some of our points that well because they don't understand them, so they can't even come close. Right. The person who's talking in this letter understands the points.
And
right, like with the glober, he got flat smacked doing this little trick.
Right.
And another thing with some of the questions I asked him that he didn't have knowledge was he speculated, and you can kind of tell, and he says that he's speculating, but I think that people, regular people, us and everyone else, think that the elite are so much smarter. They're just other people. They're trying to figure it out. Like the people at NASA, they don't know the true nature of the sun and the moon, and because they can't get through the firmament, they can't get in there yet, so they're guessing also. So
but it also makes you an authority, right? If there was some piece of land that we couldn't get to, right, nobody could get to, and we knew that, but we pretended that we went there, and then we came back and told everybody, hey, we'll teach you about what's over there because we're the only ones that have been there. Well, everybody has no choice but to believe you, and it makes you an authority on something that you don't. So these guys just showed up and said, we know what the sun, we know the temperature of the sun at the core, which is the most insane nonsense that anybody's ever heard in their life. 93 million miles away, and you're going to tell me the temperature on the inside of the sun. But again, by saying that, and it being such an over-the-top kind of scientific claim, many people, anybody in school, anybody who's anybody, is just going to hear that and say, well, they can't be lying, so they must know.
What about the ones where they tell us they know the weight of distant stars? I mean, to me, that's even worse.
God.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was just noticing here on the transcript as I was reading that he has a very interesting explanation for the ISS. It just was by a little bit, like 5 minutes, 2 minutes ago. But that was quite interesting. He's talking about different routes that the planes fly, the different number of planes that fly, and the altitudes they fly.
There's five of them. Planes, and that that part of them, they're B-2 bombers that were redesigned, and then parts of the frames are made out of transparent materials. That's why when they do a transit, we see this H-shaped craft. That makes a lot of sense.
Something. Yeah, they light up. It says it lights up under to give you that impression, which is what I thought might be the case as well. That there's some projection under the airplane,
all over the bottom of it. I mean, if you believed in the real ISS, it would never be that bright thing in the sky. It shines too bright. It's too far away. So they're just showing us what we want to see to believe it. Just like when they show us a picture of Earth, they painted what they think that we want to see.
David, I think you have another point with what you're talking about on this guy, because I have read through this stuff, and at first I was entirely skeptical.
Of course, we need to be skeptical.
We need to be, and the more I read, the more I do it. But the other thing that you said is they're regular people like us. In a way, they have a problem that we don't have. They are on a straight need-to-know basis, so they can't go out with their problem and discuss it with other physicists and that without reframing it in a that need-to-know basis that they have to guard so tightly, has to limit their knowledge base so much in a way, just because of the fact that again, being able to discuss these things breaks your confidentiality. You can't.
Right. One of the things that he said when I asked, like, how many people know, who knows, and he goes, it's on a need to know basis. He goes, the only people that I know are the other senior people that worked at NASA with me. That's it. And he doesn't know anything.
That's it.
You know what, Dave? The thing that really blew me away, Dave, is when he said that, we have all the technology, the equipment to actually go up there and investigate this, and we are explicitly forbidden from doing so. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
Or how about the claim that the astronauts are in a secret base in Alaska? I've never heard that before.
Yeah, when the rockets take off, they're filled with helium, as we've been saying for years now, and the space shuttle, the external tank, is a blimp, as we have identified, and that the astronauts, the astroliers, I call them, are in another facility in a fake movie studio cockpit where they get all the footage from, and then the entire time they're on the space station, they stay at a base in Alaska.
I read it here. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, we kind of knew it was something like that. I mean, they clearly are not flying around in space, right?
Yeah. Well, it was like 3 or 4 or 5 years ago that, Jeran and I were talking about it. And I was saying that I thought that what they were doing was they were taking a U-2 and specially outfitting it with a bunch of LEDs on the bottom of it. Now, and hat tip to Robert Zafaris for the super chat. Thank you so much for that, sir. But yeah, so we speculated this a long time ago, and I think that we were probably pretty close. We speculated on the balloons a long time ago because it seemed logical, right? We're looking for explanations to explain what we're seeing because we know what they're showing us is fake. And so, a lot of this stuff goes perfectly in line with a lot of the things that we have kind of, put forth on Globebusters before. But, when he when he made that statement, saying that they've got this equipment to actually go up there and learn a lot more, but they're forbidden from doing it. That made so much sense to me, that they don't want anybody knowing anything about what's going on up there, and they're doing what they have to do to keep this illusion alive. So it's just amazing to me.
That's if he's a Freemason and he had to play dress up in the dark with a bunch of grown men and do little rituals.
I don't know. I think my last set of questions, I don't want to overwhelm him. He says he's happy to keep answering them. He's just been a little busy. And so we'll see what he says to the last set. My you got to trust your intuition. You can't not trust anything, because you'll never get anywhere.
Yeah, I agree. And there's like a bunch of Sherlock Holmes in the chats that are like, it's a troll. It's like, that's just the easy, safe way out, because you're afraid to put yourself on
a troll.
any type
It's
of
Alex
limb
Jones. It's Red's rhetoric. I don't
But what difference would that make? It's like, I know what you're saying, Dave, with the being fair. I'm just noticing that too. There's so much fear, and we have to remember that's what they sell. That's what the mainstream media pushes. And they've done a good job, because I don't know. I just noticed this a lot recently. People are very afraid of everything.
Yeah, are we still worried about what people think? I thought we were past that. I thought we were flat earthers.
Hey, and you know what? If we're wrong, we're wrong. But we're looking at this. But honestly, right now, if somebody wanted to make a bet, I'd give odds right now in favor that this guy's real. Could I be wrong?
And if we're wrong, then we're not wrong, because we've been telling everybody forever that Globers are liars. And so if this is just a Glober playing a trick, then we're right.
Win-win.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win. What are you going to do?
Yep, there you have it. And that's exactly right. Of course, I'm sure that in the comments, we're going to be, called out as shills once again for this, but whatever. If that is your response,
where do we just sign up?
And here's the thing.
I'm just going to sign up and be a shill. How do
here's
we do
the thing I want to point out. There's a lot of, bigger and bigger shows coming out talking flat earth. I was just on SGT. That one's going super viral. It's awesome. There's more and more, like Steph Carpenter. I've been talking to him from the Deftones, so he's not going to shut up. He's getting other bands.
I love the Deftones. Wow.
Yeah, and then you have other people that are getting more courageous. We're waiting for that whistleblower, and when we finally get one, what are we going to do? Go, no, it's Alex Jones. No, it's Red's rhetoric. That's what
there are ex-high-level Masons that have come out. That's what I mean. Like, I don't understand. Like, there are people that did SRA for decades that have come out and then exposed. There are people that were victims to SRA in childhood and were like assassins that have come out. To think that no one could ever jump out the belly of the beast and expose it once they got tired or fed up with it is a bit naive.
And
there's that Polish astronaut. Remember the Polish astronaut saying
Polish astronaut, right?
Yep,
right.
Yep.
There's so much information coming out now, and then we have later this week the preview for Flat Smack Films is coming out. The Shelley Lewis, film production, and then we have
Hibbler.
Level. Hibbler's coming out with Level. Is that later? That's like this month, right?
In 2 days on the 20th.
2 days.
How about Globebusters going to Rockvin for 20,000 paid subscribers? How about that?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
All of these things matter, and we all need to just keep pushing this forward. Mark Sargent's been I'm not pushing my app. I'm just saying Mark Sargent came up with the commercial where he says if everyone gives the app to everybody within a month, everyone in the world would have it, right? Like the so on and so on and so on. Remember the old hair commercial? It's everyone just needs to do whatever they can to wake up somebody else. That's it. Just keep doing it. So I don't know. I see big movements coming, which scares the crap out of me because we know what a psychopath does when their whole gig's about to be exposed.
Right. It's the same way. Yeah. Same thing with everything else. It's like, I want to see him have to do something.
Yeah.
And hey guys, I'm gonna have to bounce a little bit early. I've got an appointment I've got to make at 5, so I'm gonna have to run now. But check out the Morgout channel. I got some new content up there and more on the way. So love you guys. Thanks so much for having me, and I will see you either Wednesday or Sunday. Just let me know.
All right, sounds good, John. Thanks for joining us, man.
See you, John.
Okay, y'all be
Bye,
good.
John.
All right, bye.
All right. So yeah.
Well, hey, I got one question. The satellite thing that he was talking about, where they're going with balloons into what space, which he says is liquid. Did you understand that, Bob?
Well, it makes sense to go with balloons because essentially, when you have a flat plane, then the only thing that limits your line of sight propagation is your transmitter power. And so I don't know how much power they can generate, on solar or whatever, from those balloons, but you know, it, the RF waves definitely do have to conform to the inverse square law, right? They cannot simply propagate for millions and billions and trillions of miles like they want us to believe with Voyager, using a transmitter that has the same power of a refrigerator light bulb, right? That's absurd. But I don't know. So I think that what he's saying there makes sense, that yes, they're going to try and do this, and they're just going to try and make it the mainstream because they're going to say it's a lot more cost efficient. And they're going to say, obviously, that the network is much bigger than it has to be. And the reason for that is because they're going to be, contouring it towards a ball Earth, right? Which you have to get around that curve of the Earth. So that's how they're going to portray it. But the reality is that you could probably do it with very few satellites, and just some really decent, transmitter power on each of them. So it did kind of make sense to me.
All right, very good.
There's some interesting stuff about this projection on the moon. This is where you are right now.
Yeah, that blew my mind. It's like, what the hell was that about? And I don't even know. I'm curious about that.
What that was about, and I want Robert Bassano to pay attention and Boogeyman to pay attention. What they wrote in there is that our optics were getting so good as far as zooming in on the moon and looking into it, with it being a plasma type of base thing, that they had to put some emitters up there with the holograms. Remember how when I make the holograms, they can get stronger and that with light? It looks like they were affecting and strengthening it so our optics don't pick up the transparency is what I'm guessing. But again, it was very, very, very interesting. Really good stuff.
Yep. So that's it's getting close to the end of this guys, for that, the message. But I'm curious, after you guys read it, tell me what you think. And like I said, there's nothing in here that is so earth shattering that it has made me 100% believer or not, because like I said, most of this stuff, and I do mean most of it, has come up as a proposition in Globebusters before. So really, it didn't surprise me to see all of this, and it makes sense. And what he's talking about, obviously, is that what they're doing is they are engineering for a flat Earth, and they are professing that it's a ball Earth, right? So it's just very super interesting. I mean, I think it's great. I hope he's real, but if he is real, then I'm incredibly concerned for his well-being, because they'll hunt him down, and that really sucks. But
Dude, reading this right here, it's like I've speculated that as you get closer to the firmament, there's actually a liquid type of medium, a transition to like a more liquid medium. Then there's the firmament, and then there's actually liquid beyond that also that you can't reach, right? And everyone acts like I'm crazy, but I mean, you can apply like magnetic levitation, basically inverted at the top by the firmament, right? So there could be like liquid, closer to the firmament itself.
Fluid.
Fluid makes sense in this. We're going to go back to, again, if what we're seeing is the image of the moon. If you have the real moon in there and you look at qualities of the moon and the cratering, and people talking about electrical charges and things like that, something that we all have to be aware of is these round things that we see as craters happen all the time in rocks. It's a dissolution pattern that happens when a lot of minerals are exposed to a briny solution, aka salt water or a fluid. So craters, again, it being fluid up there makes really, really a lot of sense in a lot of the way we see things.
Hey guys, I gotta jump. I'll see you later.
Okay, see you later, Dave.
Bye.
Later, bye, Dave.
Bye, Dave.
Okay, sorry about that, Cami. Continue on.
No, I was just finishing up with the thought that, again, the fluid makes really, really good sense for a lot of other indicators that we have and what we see in our vision. So that was a confirmation, but it's been explained in history as fluid. It's been described as a river. It's in every account. It has a fluid consistency, and in science, the way that we see things react and the result of, again, exposure to a saline solution or salt water will cause cratering in a lot of minerals. Again, they're just different ways that the pieces fit in together really nicely. when you cross-reference everything.
I agree. And a lot of things really are fitting together nicely. So it is amazing. And this research is continuing on, and I think that we're making some really good progress with it. So guys, that's why I say that, even though Globebusters is not leaving YouTube in its entirety, the main body of our evidence will be presented on Rockfin. And if you want to support this research and, be there firsthand for it, and also, to be in an environment where you can much easier directly contribute to this, I would ask you that you go to Rockfin, https://rockfin.com/Globebusters, sign up, under the Globebusters. And of course, when you do that, you also get Jeranism and any other people that are on there. There's a variety of truthers, and we're going to try and bring over many, many more flat earthers. We don't have to worry about this platform being censored. And I'm really looking forward to presenting our evidence and also being able to talk about the forbidden things that YouTube simply won't let us talk about. Not that I'm, hugely into that, because we're mostly a flat earther a channel, and that's, pretty much where this is going to stay, is in that. But I will drift from time to time to things that I think are of mass importance. So
Flat Earth is and getting more classified as a hate crime. It really is, as far as on the free media, and something that has to be protected from. So taking it behind a paywall takes that onus of the virtue signaling and everything off of the platforms, because people are asking to get the content. It's not just being auto played on them, and that's a really important responsibility issue. Is having it behind the paywall changes the liability issues. It's not that we want people to pay, but having a paywall changes the way you can talk, and we cannot talk truth on YouTube anymore. We can't. And Flat Earth, even though you're saying, like, even what I'm talking about, Polarity and things like that, are they going to censor it? You bet your ass they are. They're doing everything to get this stuff off of again, to demonize this. And so to have a cross platform that has others, that has sports on it, that has like Sam Tripoli on it, that has Scott Adams, that has different people that are even out mainstream and crosses over, and doesn't just put us into a little bitty box. I think it's brilliant, because again, we can't speak truth here on YouTube. They've ruined it.
But no, Cami, we should censor ourselves so they can keep their Netflix.
Right. Censor, exactly. It's crazy, but we have to be able to speak truth. It's a truth channel, and
it's exciting about the chat too. I think the chat will be great, even if we get 20 people. It'll be a great chat. I mean, I enjoy, after Monday night, I do an after show on DLive, because I enjoy that chat, because there's no trolls there. So I can sit there and I can just read the chat and talk to the people in there, because I've gotten to know them, and that's awesome. In YouTube, you're going to get people yelling and screaming. I released a video today. I had to sit there in the chat and talk to some guy that was going off about, how dare you put a disclaimer in there? Now you get in trouble for saying a disclaimer in a video.
The North Remembers says we should try to save all who are lost, and I agree with that. But on YouTube, again, remember, we're not allowed to talk to. We're still maintaining a presence here, but that's why we're really focusing on a platform that gets people from all directions, from the sports angle, from the truther angle, from not just one area or an echo chamber. We're trying to reach out to the angles, because right now, and to the different groups, and to expose it to all people, because right now YouTube will not suggest a flat earth video to somebody outside of the network that is not a troll video. And if you want to know, if you search Globebusters, people go, when they want to look up Globebusters, see where the $4 million hits are, because YouTube puts them to a troll video versus the 40,000 hits. People are trying to find our work, and you can't, if you're not in
and
speaking the search results, you can't get to it.
Go ahead, Jeran.
I was just going to say, so I mean, think of that with what we're doing at Rockfin and how important that's going to be. And I don't know if Bob, if you were going to mention this, but I was going to say, if you haven't noticed, Bob's already started loading all of our old videos, ones that we couldn't put up anymore. We kept getting in trouble for them, kept getting demonetized because they said it was reused content, even though it's our content. We're the ones who are doing the show. And so now to go over there, we're able to load all the old stuff back there.
For free.
For free. All there for free, right? None of that costs money. You can go, you just have to sign up. You don't have to pay anything.
And there are over 300 videos, guys. I've only put up like 35 of them. And there are over 300 videos to be put up, and they will all be there. They will all be free. It is only the new shows that will be, in the premium, and maybe a few other things. I don't know, but we're going to do our best to keep it as free as possible. But we really do ask that you support us with that $10 a month. It means the world. And honestly, it's really not fair either to ask us just because you think truth should be free. It's really not fair to ask any one content producer to sacrifice so much just so you can provide content to everybody for free. I mean, that's not fair, and I think everybody knows that.
Truth is the most valuable thing. But in my mind, I just wish in a perfect world, and I know it's not perfect, but if something like this came up and then we had everybody on board, like, this is awesome, there's a place that actually wants you, and people weren't arguing on behalf of YouTube, like, no, you should stay here and be cucked and give us free content. If people actually woke up to the fact that we're being pigeonholed in YouTube, we're being controlled about what we can and can't say. So break away from that. Go somewhere else that does want you, and then celebrate it. And then when people on the street ask you, where are you getting truth nowadays? And they say, yeah, of course it's not on YouTube. It's over at Rockfin.
Get a Rockfin t-shirt, yeah.
And then you start, and then everybody wins. Everybody finds truth content. Everybody who's producing content is part of this network that's supposedly making money, and the increase in subscribers. So it could be a good thing. And again, it could be a bad thing too. If everybody just wants so bad to stay on YouTube, then really what you're asking for is you want people who are willing to only talk about the things that YouTube allows. To me, it's kind of like the crypto thing. I don't mind if you don't like it. If you don't like Rockfin, that's one thing, but don't argue on behalf of YouTube. Just like don't argue on behalf of the US dollar. Just don't do it. It means you don't understand it at all.
For the people
I can't even say like entire groups of people's names on YouTube, bro. Like, what a joke.
For the people that say that they want to try it out before subscribing, you get to do that. You don't have to subscribe. You can see there's a lot of free content up there, and then you can see the premium content that says you only have to subscribe to get that premium content.
Yeah, it's free right now. They can go watch this show right now. It's on Rockfin.
They can watch this right now. It's on Rockfin, and we'll be doing live shows, and they will be on Rockfin. But we will have a premium show that celebrates the people that support us the most, and supports not just us, but free speech. Free speech, the idea that you can speak freely. And again, that $10 it goes for everybody to have a platform to speak freely on. It doesn't just support us. It's not, it doesn't work that way. That's what we like about it is it's a way to have a strong platform that supports everybody that wants to speak truth. Yeah. And thank you, Jeran, for finding it. Jeran found it, but it passed all of my filters, and I'm a bitch. I am a bitch with my filters.
It was brought up to me. Somebody just happened to mention that their podcast went over there, and they were like, "Oh, we're loving it, and it's so smooth." And I kept saying, "What are you talking about? Rock? I've never heard of that." Like, you never heard of that? The old wrestling site? I'm like, no, I've never heard of an old wrestling site where people are doing podcasts. What are you talking about? It sounded insane to me. I'm like, I don't even know what you're coming from. He's like, oh, it's by invite only, and I'm like, okay, I've never heard of it, so it must not be anything. And then I go look at it and start doing some digging, and then I saw that they've been around since late 2019, I think, and have really been put. You can find them on YouTube interviews with both the guys, the head of acquisitions or whatever, and then the owner. And when they talk, man, I don't know if you watched that video, Bob, I sent you, that interview with him. You're right with them because they're passionate about what YouTube has done to creators, which is destroy them.
I did watch it. Yes.
Yeah, to bring them aboard and basically you treat them like slaves, right? And then since the network's so big, they can use you. And the second you say, well, I didn't think you were fair about doing this, they just say, go away then. Go. We don't want you. So they have that power. And where this company is saying that shouldn't be the way it is, YouTube is YouTube because of the creators. YouTube has never loaded one video, right? It's always a creator. It's always somebody who's making the video. So everybody should be responsible for how much money that site's making. But guess what? It's a tiny little group of people that are making tons of money. Obviously tons. I mean, think about the storage that YouTube must have. I mean, we can't even fathom that amount of storage, that amount of servers. Yeah. And they're just making money hand over fist.
Yeah, it's probably stored at CERN.
Yeah, and also Rasa Snowfire, yes, you absolutely do get notifications on Rockfin. They will send them out before we go live. You will get notifications of new content. They're really good about all that. So, that is an absolute yes on that. So you don't have to worry about missing anything ever that we put out again.
And by the way, we own all of our content, number one. And number two, we own all of your contact information. So from what I understand right now, like if you sign up at YouTube, whatever, YouTube keeps all that emails and all that stuff, right? We don't get to see that. But with Rockfin, it's ours because you're under us. So it's definitely a creator first idea. And now, the only thing I could see going wrong, maybe it never grows, maybe they don't get more channels, but I don't see it that way. I see there's so many people looking for other places that I think this will grow quite large. And I've always said there's a market for this. And oh, by the way, no ads, 0 ads on the whole website. You won't see a banner ad. You won't see an ad at the bottom of the video. You won't see any ads. It's completely 100%, obviously subscriber backed or whatever.
Supported. Yep, exactly.
So,
I went over with a fine-tooth comb and was looking to take it down. And Jeran, I was really impressed with the way, again, they did it, that it opens everything up. If we wanted to grow, if we want free speech to grow, they're giving us a platform to have other people join in and make it happen. It's up to us to grow it.
Yep, agreed.
And I know that people might think this is weird, but I'm actually on the same page, because this is what I was telling Bob. Like, I believe in free speech, but to a level, like, I do believe you can go out on your lawn and say whatever you want. I don't care about that. But if you're going to be on my platform, for instance, right? If I'm going to have a website that I've built and this is my platform,
this is important.
There's a line that you don't cross. And the thing is, we don't cross it. So when I find out that DLive removes my monetization, or YouTube or PayPal, this pisses me off, because I'm not going past that line. I'm nowhere near it. I'm not ever calling for violence. I'm not saying let's go burn this, let's go bomb this at all, right? And so when they remove my stuff, that's where I'm just furious. I'm like, what? We can't even just say our opinion? That's not okay. I'm not saying things that are inciting people to violence. So this site, when we go there, it'll be great, because then I don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. And especially when you're somebody like me that doesn't say those things, it really is the equivalent of not worrying about anything. Just go
Right.
there.
As long as you can read the New Testament and not call it anti-Mediterranean language, then we're good.
Right. They do. Okay, on here, our filters on this site, people is they do not want us to incite violence. Like Jeran says, we don't have an issue with that. In fact, we really don't have an issue with that. And they don't want us to play pornography. I don't have an issue with that at all. It's not what I want people to on the platform to be jumping in and out of. That's just, again, if you want to watch porn, that's fine. But I'm much more comfortable with the platform without it on there. Thank you, Jeran.
And it corrodes your brain. And it
corrodes your brain.
You. Yeah,
it makes you a very weak person.
All right. Okay, guys. All right, guys. I think we're going to call that a show then. And, again, like I said, thanks for being with us, for all these years. And I hope that we can get a great majority of our viewers to come over with us. If not, maybe we can entice you on some of the Wednesday shows. But we have a lot of outstanding research that's going to be opened wide up that we're going to be showing on the new platform. And, the more people that are involved in this, the more minds that are involved in it, the better. And I really hope you guys come over. $10 is nothing. It really is nothing. And I hope that you guys can see that and really help, support us in coming over with that. So, all right. So I'm going to go around one last time and we're going to say our piece. And then this will be our last show on Sunday on YouTube. All right. So first up, I guess, Iro, are you still with us, sir? I don't even know if Iro is still here. He might take a minute. All right, so let's go over to Rodrigo then and see if Iro comes around later. So Rodrigo, what do you got coming up, sir?
Thank you, Bob. It's a really great show, as always, and looking forward to what happens next and to checking out, what is it called again?
Rockfin.
Rockfin, yeah. Check it out and see how it goes. And it sounds like amazing. It sounds amazing. And yeah, I'm doing a Latin course tomorrow that we have. The first 2 sessions already done, and it's been really, really cool. People participating, and we also reading the scriptures or some pieces of the Bible. I don't know if we're going to be able to read everything, because we're looking at the grammar in the Latin and how it works, and trying to get into the details and looking at things like that. So I'm looking forward to that. That's tomorrow. I'm doing that once a week. And I'm trying to adapt as well my way to make content that makes sense for me as well, and for the people who support my work. And moving on with life in a crazy world, trying to do the best we can. And I really like when shows like this happen, when we're dealing with the data. We're learning about fascinating things, and that's what I like to see, in the future more than what we had. There was so much crazy stuff. This last year hit everyone pretty hard, but I think that's it's a great, well, I don't know. Okay, it's hard to. I don't want to call victory before it's time. That's where we were last year, so before it all hit. So, but yeah, great, Bob. Thank you so much. And that's it. Just keeping up with my work on my website, my Patreon, and see if I get on this platform as well. Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Well,
It's available for Argentina, that platform.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Okay.
No, of course it is.
No, the Jesuits did not allow it, bro.
I don't know. I don't know if there's other. I didn't check if there's other languages there. You could be the first ever Spanish channel.
Please.
That would be good.
Honor for me. Yeah.
Hat tip to Ken McKay for the $5 super chat. Much appreciated. All right.
That's a good idea. I'll actually talk to you about it because I know you keep getting shut down too. You need a place where they are going to leave your shit up.
Yep. And Iru, and I'm going to talk to you about this a little bit later, but a lot of the stuff that you think may be, censored on YouTube can now be presented on Rockfin, and we'll go into that, and I'll tell you, how we're going to work this all out. So
okay. No, that would be great because right now, for example, in my main channel, I receive another strike, so I need to wait until 25 of April to go live again. Of course, I am doing my stuff in my backup channel, but it's tedious, all the time, changing words, changing meanings. You need to all the time trying to, that is what I call the real Terminator war is like with algorithms. It's not only with machines right now. So.
Yep. Okay. Awesome. All right. So Iru, any last things you want to say before we close out the show?
Yes. First of all, it was a really amazing stuff about the polarization of the light and the second sun because I never addressed this from this perspective because my technical knowledge is not allow me. But after this presentation, I'm going to take like 2 weeks trying to analyze and make my own opinion with all this information that Cami and Zach presented, because it's really, I'm not going to say game changer, but at least we have a new evidence and new observations to take care and trying to analyze and make your own thought about what's going on in the sky. Because after all, everybody knows that the Earth is flat for geometrical things, but we're trying to understand what happened up there. So, this is a new stuff to study.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. And that's why I think this is, the timing of this is not coincidental by any means. So, I just think that it's playing out just the way that it should. And for those that were asking for the link to Rockfin, I just posted it for you there. So, appreciate it. So yeah,
the whistleblower document, it's also you're going to put in the comment box to download it.
Oh, you're talking about for the whistleblower? Yes.
Yes. Okay. Perfect.
Yes, I'm sure Dave will let us do that. I didn't read
it. I didn't be aware about that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. I mean, it's streamed. The whole thing's streamed during the show, but I'll make the document available. I'll put it on my Google Drive, and then people can just download it and read it there. So perfect. All right. So Zach, what have you got coming up, sir?
I'm going to be playing with Polaroid filters and the stars and the moon and all that kind of jazz, and see what we can't come up with about this sky stuff a little bit more. And then, building that last garden bed, and it's almost time. I'm excited, man. This is my first garden in 2 years.
Yeah, and you're doing a hell of a job on it too. Guys, you should see our backyard. I mean, it's already like a jungle out there already. It's freaking beautiful with the river running through it. But now Zach has created all these gardens all over it, and it's just absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Oh, thanks, Bob.
So it's fabulous. All right, cool. All right, so Austin, what do you got coming around, sir?
Well, we're staying here in Hillsborough River State Park tonight. Then we are heading to Wakua Springs State Park tomorrow night and the night after that. So on the 20th, we're going to have the meetup. So Wakua Springs Park, Witsit at protonmail.com if you want any more additional information on the meetup. And I'll probably mention in the stream or make a video for it on Globebusters activism because I was still not allowed to go live on Witsit Gets It for another week.
Yikes.
And then Witsit Gets It on DLive, Witsit Gets It on Twitch, and masqueradetour.com. That's pretty much it. Then we're going to see the launch, the quote-unquote NASA crew launch on April 22nd at Kennedy Space Center, and then we're heading north. So if you want to meet up with the tour, shoot me an email, witsit@protonmail.com.
All right, beautiful. Okay, and Cami, what do you have coming up?
Oh, I've got a lot of gardening and learning how to garden with Zach, which is really great. Austin, get your ass up here because I'd love some hands-on learning time with you, and again, another brain to work with, and that I am a interactive person, so it really helps me to interact with people. My channel is Aislinn717. I'm trying to remember to put up some of my stuff here and there on it. You see me here, Iron Realm Media. Come join us on Friday nights. And I have a lot of stuff in the works right now with Watson, with Zach, with Bob, with Rose, with you name it. I have stuff going on right now. I look forward to upcoming and seeing the visuals. I'm excited to show you.
Awesome. Okay. Well, yeah, he'll be here, I don't know, probably another week or so. I'll be excited to see that launch footage. That'll be really cool. And then maybe while you're here, we can do a show while you're here. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, let's do it. Sounds good.
Austin,
All right.
you coming to the West Coast at all or no?
Yeah. We're going up north, up the East Coast, then busting west, and then getting to the West Coast. So we're basically going reverse of the original plan. And we're only kind of lagging around Florida. Like I said, we would already be out of here. I found out that there's a SpaceX NASA crew launch where they claim they're putting people in like actual humans in low Earth orbit. I'm like, I got to go to that. So then we're popping up and we're going to be a little bit more expedited after that.
All right. Well, give me the date when you guys know around because I'll start looking. I heard RV the other day say that he would attend a meetup here in the. So I want to meet RV. So I'm thinking of having something maybe in California of some type, and it would be great to know when you guys are going to be here, and I'll start looking. I don't have any idea where location, but I'll start looking.
Okay, cool, perfect. I'll start getting it kind of mapped out, and we'll get an idea, and then we'll agree on a date, my dude.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome, cool. So RV is actually going to make a public appearance.
So he said he would love to go to a meetup, and he lives in San Francisco. So I was thinking, well, with Austin coming this way, and I was thinking, and I've had a bunch of people. These consultations have been awesome because it's not very often you get to sit down. I don't even know the number. It's well over 130. But when I'm sitting down with all these people and really realizing a lot of them love the meetups, love the get-togethers, the camaraderie. So I've had so many people from California say, like, why don't we have, meetups here? And the real reason is because I'm not good at organizing things like that, and it seems a little bit too much for me. But at the same time, nobody else is doing it, and I get it. A bunch of people here want to just go somewhere. So even if it's meet at this park, something, we'll just do that, and then we'll buy all of our food from the ice cream man. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, if he does that, I may have to fly out there just to meet him. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Put on my mask and fly.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. I know. Well, you know what?
Two, if you would, please.
Yeah. Well, as long as I don't have to get no damn shot or take a test.
Oh, that's coming.
Yeah, I know it is. And when that happens, then I will not be traveling that way. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Back to the horses for us.
Yep. Yeah. And like I said, a great thing about South Carolina is these people are serious about their freedom. And it's a whole different breed of people here. I mean, life is very different here. So I really like it.
I realized what happened here in California. It took me a while to figure it out, but then now I get it. So the first thing they did was make pot legal. And the second thing they did was lock everybody in their houses with nothing to do and no job. And so now you just have everybody here in California is just wasted. They're all just smoking so much weed, and it's the only way you can get through this, right? So it's just everybody's just high at their house, I guess. Like, oh, perfect.
At least they have Netflix though, right?
Yeah, thank goodness.
I'm really bashing Netflix today. I just don't like it. But anyway,
I don't like to spend money on anything, only just lies like Netflix.
Yep, crazy. All
Oh,
right,
well,
cool.
there is the Flat Earth documentary, man.
It's very good. I heard the ending's great.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Thanks, Bob.
It's really interesting.
Again, I was going to say that earlier, though, just talking about these experiments that we've done before. Like, really, what experiments should be is, like, just think of that thought that we went out there on one day at that little canal. We just looked down, we proved the Earth's the curve. No, what should be happening is you should perfect those things, right? You should get it down to where now it's repeatable. Now you can tell people this is exactly what we do, and every time we do it, we get these results. Nobody thinks that way. It's just put it in a movie that has me at the end saying interesting, and that's all people need. Nope, that's a globe. Jeran proved it. You know, it's just funny to me. That would never be proof of anything.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, cool. All right, so Jeran, you're last but not least.
I already talked. Oh.
Yeah, well, you kind of did, but you know.
Yeah, staying busy. You know, I've got a few consultations after this, and then I think we moved tonight. Yeah, so at 9 o'clock Pacific time, I believe. Now I'm hoping it's 9 o'clock Pacific. Sorry. Right, look, 9 o'clock Pacific. I'm doing a show with Sean from Kingdom in Context. So you've been warned of wait, Eastern 12. Yes, 9:30 Pacific. Okay, wait. Yeah, 9:30 Pacific. Sorry, 9:30. That'll be on my channel and his, I think. So just a conversation about his opinion of my Jeranism show number 2. So you've been warned. Be careful with that one. If it's not the kind of content you want, don't watch that. And that's about it. Then we go Monday Raw, and then we start all over again and have some more fun next week.
Awesome. All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, you know what? It's been fun. It's been a great 6 years, and like I said, I've had many people come over and already sign up for Rockfin, and I really appreciate that. So we'll be looking forward to seeing everybody over there. And if not, then the rest of you, it's been great so far, and we will be around on Wednesday. So it's not like we're going to disappear completely, but we really would like to get everybody on one single platform. That would be the best. So we appreciate all the support that we've had from everybody, and you guys are just the best. So let's try and keep the truth going, and go from there. So with that, we're going to call it a show and a season and a series. And with that, we'll see you guys later. And till then, be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind, because there is truth inside. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.
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 Peace.